another episode of On the Block with Jen. Am I a little late? Am I a little late? I'm here though. Was it not worth the wait, y'all? Was it not worth the wait? I hope y'all appreciate my rock music because we're going to rock out tonight. We're going to push some buttons. We're pushing some buttons. We're going to push some ideologies. We're going to push some traditions. We're going to push them right on out of your ass tonight. Yes, we are. Because I believe a lot of what we do is because the people that came before us do it and pass it down, right? Just my theory. I could be wrong on those rare occasions that I'm wrong, but I could be wrong, right? And at the end of the day, this is all just opinion, is it not? But we see a lot of our opinions manifest into the opposite of what we say we want to do with our lives, don't we? Don't we? Right? And this could go either way. This could go with either ethical non-monogamy or monogamy. It could go either way. We could sign up for some shit we are not ready for or built for. So tonight, we are going to dissect, okay? My guest is sort of an expert on this subject, but we'll see just how much, okay? Welcome, everybody, to Wanna G Beautiful. How are you? What's up, Momi Hermana Reese? I know you're going to have something to say about this ill doctrine. Salute to you, sir. Always good to see you here. JR, how are you? Big Truck Series review already has some pushback. We didn't even start, and he has some pushback. Everybody, pump your brakes. We didn't even get started. With that said, let me welcome up Mark Randall, pulling up to On the Block.
Hello, Jen. How you doing? We finally meet.
We finally meet, right? I've always seen your little avatar picture, so I knew what you look like. But this is the first time we're like here, kind of 2D, because this isn't 3D, right? It's like kind of 2D.
I think it's the first time you get to hear my voice.
Exactly. After all these years, like I know you've since MySpace? No, just kidding.
Yeah, I think so. That's nuts.
Probably Facebook. But you've always I have to give you props. You've always been a trooper, no matter how violent my dialogue has been about any subject. You hang in there and you give the pushback and you're like, it's okay, whatever. So you're my favorite kind of people, the people that I can debate with, the people that can hear my opinion and they don't go slit their wrist after, right?
Yeah, right.
I appreciate that.
Way too much thin skin in the world these days.
Way too much. So I appreciate you and I'm glad that you're here. First and foremost, thank you for the first super chat from Andre and Andrea, Love Crossing Borders, who I'm also going to have a show with because they have an interesting story. So I'm also going to have these guys up for an interview as well. What's up, Love Crossing Borders? Respect to you, sir. So, Mark, good to have you here. Now, you introduced ethical non-monogamy to me. It's something that I had never heard of prior to. I've heard of polyamory, polygamy, all the amies. I've heard of all the amies,
right.
But I've never heard of ethical non-monogamy. So for all of us who have been living under a rock, please explain at least what that means.
Well, from my understanding, it's where couples decide that they can venture out, and there's different grades of that. From maybe they just take one weekend out of the year and they step out of monogamy and invite someone else into the relationship or a couple into the relationship, and they just take a vacation from monogamy. And then there's other people that just make it their day-to-day lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And, everything in between goes on. And I believe it's just an umbrella term for swinging. There's different aspects to non-monogamy. So you have people that actually will fall in love and have lovers that they have real relationships with. And then you have people that it's strictly physical pleasure, so once again, there's a spectrum there, and it's a matter of what that couple is comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So some people are comfortable with their partner getting emotionally involved and attached to other people. Whereas someone else, it's like, no, we need to separate love from pleasure, physical pleasure, you know. So I'm interested. I guess you're going to have some guests on that can maybe shed some light on all that spectrum, so to speak.
Well, you're already shedding some light on it, because I didn't think that, I've heard of polyamory, as I said, and hopefully Big Hef will stop by. But I've heard of polyamory, but you're saying that basically ethical non-monogamy is just the umbrella, and then there's all these different.
Yeah. There's such there's such a large spectrum that falls underneath that term. And I guess I should be looking at the camera, not you so much, but I feel like I'm talking to you.
No, you can look at me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, my eyes are darting around.
No,
But
it's okay. Fine. You're perfectly fine. So something you said I found interesting, right? Because again, I've only heard of like polyamory, but you said this is something I never thought about. It's kind of like you just said, maybe once out of the year, you kind of get like a, get
a little frisky,
or get free pee pass. That's
right.
Very interesting. I know we got some married folk in the chat. I'd like to know what you guys think of. Listen, it's a full-blown, beautiful, monogamous marriage, but one time out the year, maybe say Valentine's Day, you give each other a free pass. It's like, go do you. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to hear about it. Make sure it doesn't leak into the house, but go do you and come back. That sounds fair. What do you guys think about that? That sounds fair. Now, I'm going to be talking about this. I have not said what my opinion is yet. So do not, you know what I mean? What I may be saying now may or may not have anything to do with me. I'll get into that later. If y'all stick around, you'll get, all the gravy. But right now, I just want to present it and dissect it. That doesn't sound too bad to me. Like one time out the year, okay, you go do you, I'll go do me. We'll come back. It's almost like an anniversary of being single in a way. It's weird, but it's like, hey, prior to this marriage, I was single, and this is what I would have done as a single person. But I'm not single anymore. I'm married, so I'm with you the whole year. But then one time out the year, I'm gonna go do me. So
or they could even do it as a couple. They could go to a swingers club and just knock boots, for the night. On a Mardi Gras night at the club. They don't have to necessarily be separate. And a big part of this, with it being ethical, is that there are boundaries set in place. It's not just free reign, every man for himself. So there are within each couple boundaries that are set and expectations, and everything has to be on the up and up and honest and transparent. Transparency, from my understanding, is key.
Okay, so what do you think about one of the very first comments that we got was men need to decide whether they are going to be celibate or accept polyamory unless they wise up and get a foreign wife. There ain't no such thing as ethical non-monogamy. Do you have a foreign wife?
I've had 3.
Okay, well, Love Crossing Borders, I don't know if he's still here, but he has a foreign wife as well. What part do you think that plays in non-ethical monogamy?
I really don't think it's a nationality or race thing. I think it's just something that's in you, that if you aren't a jealous person, or to what degree your jealousy exists. Like I said, some people would be fine for getting drunk, having a party night, and having a threesome, and it's like, yeah, it's just partying. And then another couple, their tolerance level would be that, sure, you can fall in love with 3 other women or men and have totally different relationships with them, and buy them Valentine's gifts, and take them to the nail salon, do what and it's a matter of where your jealousy falls. I don't think it's. I mean, I understand what someone might be saying with foreign. It seems like women from South America, Central America, some of the Asian countries, they might be more open to their husbands stepping out on them and more tolerant of even cheating, because it's just sort of a cultural thing. The man's the man, and he does what he does. Don't ask no questions. And because they're not as progressive as say the West,
Okay,
or
so I was about to
America,
ask
Europe.
you, why do you think that is? But you said it's just not as much progressivism.
Yeah, they're just a lot of countries, a man can slap his wife around and not get in any trouble for it. So whenever that's the case, if he comes home drunk and he's been stepping out, she's not necessarily going to say anything. Here she could have him locked up pretty quick. So
That is
she can speak her mind and feel good about it.
that is true. Keep your hands to yourself.
Right. So they just don't have the law in place like we do to do something about it, unfortunately. So they got to take it.
Right. Would you suggest for anyone, let's just stick with America because this is where we are, right? Would you suggest for an American man or woman, if they want to be ethically non-monogamous, would you recommend that they seek someone outside of the country because it's easier to do?
Not at all. I mean, you see the way America's going. I mean, it's becoming very popular, um, especially with the left wing of political thought. It's becoming very popular to be in open relationships and have I walk down the street, I see a guy holding two girls' hands and being just out in public, and vice versa. So no, I don't think so. You just, there's so many websites and stuff that you can get involved in this stuff and find what you're looking for. I mean, if you want to be a furry, you can find a furry. You can find 10 furry sites and go do that. So no, I wouldn't say that at all.
Okay, just so people know, a furry is literally people that dress up in the little furry like teddy bear outfits, right?
Unicorns, whatever, sloths. Let me go put mine on.
Okay. So basically, that's a furry where people just kind of like get off on dressing up as these little furry animals, basically.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Chuck E. Cheese and Chucky comes out, it's kind of imagine that the whole
Imagine
thing.
that. Just a lot more sexy, I guess. You would
I
say.
guess they got like a little thing they can unzip down there. You don't know what you're getting.
They said the show is going to be interesting. The show is going to be interesting tonight.
We won't even talk about bronies.
What are bronies? We're here to learn. What are
Oh
bronies?
no. Bronies are kind of like furries, but it's all about My Little Pony, and it's a whole thing.
Are
So
they doing that to My Little Pony?
yes, and
Well,
they
this is
give
my childhood.
they give themselves little sprinkle clover name or whatever, and it's a whole thing. Yeah, Google that.
Okay, so are you Google bronies? So
Yeah.
I obviously you're ethically non-monogamous.
No, I'm not. I'm not practicing it. No. I've been curious about it and I've been researching it a lot, but we haven't delved into it. Now I have had threesomes
Mhm,
and partied,
mhm.
but we haven't done anything. I've been to swingers clubs and seen what it's about, and all of that, but never taken the leap. Not as of yet. That's just very curious about it. It's a very intriguing subject. Like I said, it's becoming more and more popular. So
Okay, so
and,
that's
and it's exciting to think about. It's an exciting little fantasy. That you can play in your head and get riled up. But then it's another thing to actually step over that line into that world. And I got to say, there's a huge learning curve because
mhm,
as I've explored it, I found that there are things that in your fantasy mind you think that you're okay with and you think you would accept and maybe get you riled up in your fantasy. But then when you actually like go into that world and start exploring things, you're like, you know what? This gives me a horrible feeling and I ain't there yet. You know what I mean? So it's one thing to have fantasies and it's another thing to bring those into the flesh. So it's a huge learning curve. And I think anybody that wants to get into it, you know, do your research and don't dive in head first, you know, get, you know, ease into it and see what you're comfortable with, you know, because you might not be comfortable with what you think you're comfortable with.
See, I love that point of view, because if we are honest, right? We've all thought about something, right? If I ask a man, "Are you gay?" and he says, "No, I'm not gay," he's actually thought about gay, right? You have to think about something to say, "I don't want to do that." You had to think about it. It had to be in your mind, like, "What, am I gay? No, I'm not gay." So you thought about it. We all have to think to know what we don't like. I don't want to do that. Why? Because I thought about it, right? So I think it's great, and I love how you're presenting it, because a lot of people who are either not monogamous or want to be polyamorous don't really know what they're signing up for, right? So it's important that we let people know that you should do the research. This is not a lifestyle that you jump into with your spouse, because once that door is open, you cannot close it again. There could be mental scarring, insecurities that she or he may not be able to get rid of. So it's very important that we do throw that in there. It's not all, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. There's a lot of psychology that goes into it as well. So I think you're very smart. It's very smart of you to do the research and make sure that you're okay with that. I, for one, I love a good fantasy. I love a good role play. And I recall being in a relationship. I'm kind of like I'm the ethically non-monogamy light, where it's all very fantasy for me.
Right. Yeah.
I do it, you know, I mean, I can do different scenarios with my partner where it's like it's not actually happening with the other person in the room and things like that. And nothing ever, you know, I mean, nothing ever that either of us are not comfortable with. And you have to be very careful what you introduce to your partner that you think you're comfortable with. And they act like they're comfortable with it, but then really what you're doing is scarring them because they're not really into it. So you have to, there has to be a lot of communication, right?
Definitely.
And a lot of research, because things can go wrong, and it looks great in porn and everybody's having a good old time. But you know, when it's happening in real time, it's different. And I have some girlfriends that have told me they've, you know, delved into the threesome thing and they never got over it. They could never look in the same way again. So you have to be very, very careful, because it's a door you can't close. But if you're with it and you researched it and it's for you, you know what I mean? Good, you know,
more power to you.
More power to you. I'm not one to so quickly judge. I know it's something that, because of my personality, I know it's something that I could not do. Like, would I play around with my guy at home, you know, between the two of us? It's some, you know what I mean, some dialogue and things like that.
Right.
But I know I'm not capable of it. And that's okay. Some people are, some people aren't. It does sound exciting when you think about it, because you know, people, they become monotonous, I think, in relationships sometimes, where it's like
it gets stale.
Yeah, it gets stale, and we can't deny that. We've all been in long-term relationships where it was kind of like, you know, we'll be at the gym or at the grocery store, we'll see someone else and we wonder what that mouth do, and then we come back to reality. I'm married or I'm in a relationship. But we cannot deny that we've been different places, and we've been like, hey, like she's hot or he's hot, like, but then, you know, you come back to reality because you're like, I have a family and a home and a mortgage and you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you don't want to ruin that. So let me welcome up Love Crossing Borders, because I know he left the stage to find his wifey. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
I am doing great, Jen, and I forget what the gentleman's name is.
Mark Randall.
Mark. Hey, Mark, how you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
All I remember was MySpace, and I can remember MySpace Mark. So
there you go.
No, I got it. Definitely.
What say you? What say you about ethical non-monogamy
You know, something.
versus
This is a
monogamy?
good topic because Andre and I talk about this in regards uh to cheating, to stepping out. Can we share? You know, we have those type of conversations, and we both come to the conclusion that uh we're not sharers. And if you do step out, do not leave any trails. Don't because we're not naive. We're human. And so we're like, okay, if you do, because here in Colombia, everybody got somebody on the side. And when I say everybody, I mean it's part of the culture here.
Okay.
Women got their side dudes, whether it be a guy from the States this they dude, or whether it be their side guy that lives here. Everybody has a somebody on the side. I guess, and for the men, they're like, it's too many gorgeous women in South America for me not to have another woman on the side. So that's how the men are going at it.
Okay.
But it's kind of funny. It's almost like you were saying with the monogamy, it's the ethical monogamy. It's as if, since it's a part of the culture, you don't see too many fights of like this guy fighting over his girl and fighting over this and that. It's almost like a part of the makeup where you kind of expect, if you go into a relationship, this person might be about that. But you know, Miss Scorpio in the next room, she's more or less like, no, we're not sharing. Mine is mine, yours is yours, and this is what we're gonna do. And it's kind of funny. What made me focus more on monogamy in my relationship is that I was in the swinger world for 3 years.
Okay.
So I know what that whole world is about. And I mean, from several states, from Florida to from all the way up into innocent Indiana to Chicago to California and Vegas. Because the one thing that people don't realize is that once you get into the swinger world, it's really a world. It's like a family. So when they have swinger cruises that they go on, and you meet people that you've been knowing for years that's been in this lifestyle, and couples that you're cool with. And so it's kind of funny. You'll be sitting around at work texting each other, talking about what we're going to be doing on Saturday night. Oh, when I see you, da 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 da. When I see what y'all doing, and you're making this plan to all meet up to do this. And the other part, when it comes to, as Jen was saying, the fantasy part, most people don't know 70% of people that go to swinger parties or swinger clubs or swinger events are just voyeurists. They just want to come as a couple or as a single person or with a girlfriend, taboo moment, just to see live porn. Oh, I shouldn't have used that term on your channel. I'm sorry, but to see live activity. And so, and then they go home and live out their fantasy with each other instead of interacting. So most people coming, they just watching us. You just see a crowd of people standing around, just kind of like ooh
See,
and
I would do that. I would do that. Like
right.
I would do that. I don't have a problem with that. The only reason I've never ventured into that because I'm like, I'm afraid like I'm gonna be there and then they're gonna be like, hey, and I'm
Oh,
gonna be
they
like,
will.
no. No, wait a minute. I'm just here to watch. Wait. So that's why I haven't done it. But I guess you can take a guy with you, right? Like they let couples.
True.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely
I
correct.
would do it that way. I think that's exciting to watch like live, you know what I mean? Porn.
Hey, Mark, what has kept you from kind of like saying, let me go look at it or let me get involved in it? What do you think has caused you to say, I know about it, but it's not for me?
No, I
At
mean,
this moment.
like I say, I've looked at it, and I've been to the swinger clubs on in the Tampa area.
Oh yeah, I'm
Tampa,
from
the
Tampa, so I
notorious.
know what you're talking about.
Okay, so so no, I've dipped my toes into the world. It's just the actual physical, like taking crossing that line into us actually doing anything.
Hmm.
We just haven't reached a comfort level there. And there's jealousy and all that stuff
That's
involved.
true.
She's a Brazilian girl, so she's kind of like your wife. Like I ain't ready to share
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so we just haven't got there yet. But it's kind of what you're saying. Like we like to go get riled up and get the adrenaline
Hmm.
going and all the endorphins and things flowing, and then go home and take care of business at the house. or the hotel or whatever the scenario.
Yep.
But sometimes it, you know, I feel like too, it's just one of those things that it's kind of like drugs, you know, there's a progression. So right now, just teasing the idea is enough to add spice to the relationship and to get everything fiery and hot in the bedroom when things have gone stale. So just teasing the idea. Now, 2 years from now, that, you know, you might need to step up to that next drug, you know what I mean, to get that same effect. But right now, just teasing the idea is enough, you know. So we just ain't there yet. And I kind of feel like, why go straight to the hard stuff whenever this is working, you know, because then you've already done the hard stuff. You ain't going to go back to just puff pass, you know what I mean? It's like, no, I need that needle in my arm, you know. So you know, it's kind of hard to go backwards once you've done that. So, you know, I say go, you know, for me, for us, it's like, no, just go slow. This is working. Maybe we never have to go there, you know, and we're cool, you know. So, you know, that's kind of where we're at now. Am I to understand that you and your wife do step out, but it's just unspoken, or there's just no stepping out at all?
We don't. We're not at that stage, but we're not naive enough not to discuss it, because a lot of couples wait to discuss something. We discuss the matters within, because we've been together 4 years. We've been married 2. I've been living here 5. So she ain't dumb. We're in South America. She see all what's walking around. I'm not dumb. I see she like the brothers. So I see the chocolate walking around that she enjoys so much. She like gin. You see what I'm saying? She like the chocolate. But
ask you a question, because I know where you're going, and I love the idea of, I think people talk about going outside the marriage or seeking excitement outside the marriage or infidelity when it happens, right? That's the problem. That's when the conversation, like, how could you, when I think you should be able to talk to your spouse about any and everything. When you say forever with another human being, that's a mighty long time. And if I can't talk to you about any and everything, I feel like I married the wrong person. I would not want to be with a man that he doesn't, my girlfriend knows more than he knows as far as my fantasies and my desires and things like that, right? He should know. He's the one that I put the ring on. So how do you even, both of you have spoken to your significant others about this. How does that conversation even start? Like, is she cutting your sandwich and she's like, hey, what do you think about some new dick in me? You know what I mean? Like how does that conversation even start? How do you approach that? How can a monogamous couple approach that without the other person feeling triggered or threatened in the relationship?
You want to go first, Mark?
No, you go ahead. You have more experience, sounds like, than me.
Well, basically, you know, I tell you how simple it is. Hey, babe, I just finished watching Jen on the Block, and we were talking about this particular topic. I got a question for you. She may be in there just relaxing, listening to music. I got a question for you that was brought up during the show. How do you feel about, and one of the things that my wife really enjoys, and even I enjoy, the fact that I care about her opinion about a topic that is just this important, not just assuming her opinion. And so that what makes it a lot easier, because I watch so many live streams, or she'll read an article on something. She said, I read this article on blah, 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 blah. Well, how do you feel about it? And all of a sudden we're sitting back and we got drinks in our hand. We're listening to music together. Now we got a buzz and we're talking about that particular, drinking up over a cup of cafe. And we're just enjoying that particular topic. For example, once I get done talking to you guys, 9 times out of 10, I'll go in the room and say, babe, I just was on the live stream with Jen on the Block, and we were talking about this, that, and this. What is your opinion about that? And she'll say, well, you know, we talked about it already. So therefore, and we'll just still elaborate based off of what we talked about before. It's like an ongoing conversation that kind of like bounces throughout time. And so that's how it works for us. It's just so simple it's almost like a moment comes and we take advantage of the moment of that topic.
I love that. And I think that's healthy, especially when you said over time, right? Because we change. I stress that to couples. We change every day. We're changing. You know, year 2, that may be the last thing on your mind. Year 5, you're seeking a little something more exciting, or you're feeling a certain way about yourself. Year 10, a whole different situation. So I think it's something that you have to constantly talk about, right? When you have a job, people do assessments every 3 months. Let's see what you're doing. You know what I mean? Over there, you could be doing this better, and you shouldn't have done that, X, Y, and Z. So I think that relationships, I think that a lot of them fail because this communication isn't happening.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you should at least be open. Your partner should at least know that you're open to have these conversations, because if they cannot have them with you, they will have them with someone else. Guaranteed. That is how humans operate. Right. So, Mark, how did it start with you? Like, how did that conversation start?
I would say pretty innocently, you know, just being out, you know, like you said, you having some drinks and partying, and somebody sees a good looking person, be like, dang, hey, I don't know if you left me alone with them for a minute, you know, and then it just, you know, sort of jokingly goes down that path, and then you've cracked the door, so now you start discussing it on the ride home, or you know, and you just, it's just that that ball's been set in motion, you know, through a joke or some teasing, and then you know, hey, you know what, I might would go, and then you start looking at maybe a flick that's got it involved or something, or you know, it's just once you set that ball in motion with one little thing, and then you just give momentum to it. Now, another relationship, you might say something like that, and you just ruined your whole month, you know, because they ain't cool. Like you said the wrong thing while you had some jack in you, you know. But so you know, for me, that's kind of how the subject came up. You know, just through playful teasing under the influence.
And I want to tell women, because I think we're especially possessive, right? Don't kill me, ladies, because I was like, you can't say shit on these machines anymore. But I think women, myself included, I'm one of those women, I think we tend to be more possessive, right? With our guys, like every little thing, like who is that? Why is she looking at you? Who calling? Why is it like kiki? Got to show your teeth to everybody. What's going on, right? We're like that. Women tend to be like that. So I stress to the women not to, you know what I mean, shame the guy for bringing it up. You better get in there and get in that conversation, and at least find out why that conversation is even happening, because I think women think that they can scare men into not having certain desires or scare them into submission, and people are going to do what they're going to do. Let me ask you guys this. Is it a deal breaker? Can you think for like the rest of your lives, you'll be with this woman that you're with now? Is it a deal breaker if she's never willing to at least dip her toe in this kind of lifestyle? Can you imagine from here? And I know it's a grand question, because we don't have a crystal ball, but do you feel like it would be a deal breaker? Do you feel like eventually at some point in this relationship, you're going to want to try something else for a little bit?
For me, I mean, I believe I would be perfectly fine not ever having to take that leap. You know, I mean, you know, one thing I have going for me is my wife's totally my type, you know, down to a T, and I'm 100% satisfied with her in all aspects of all that. So I don't need all that, you know. Like I said, it's just more of just the rush, the new rush that it gives you. You know that you get back those feelings that you had when you were in the honeymoon phase by toying with these ideas and you know, fantasizing. So for us, I don't think it's, you know, like you say, 10 years from now, who knows where either one of us stand.
Right.
You know, but as of right now, I think I would be fine just to spend the rest of my life with her and do our thing. But you know, keep it playful, of course.
Yes.
Spicy. Keep it spicy.
Yeah.
That's important. What about you, Love Crossing? What's going on with you? Do you think that you can live the rest of your life with this one woman forever and not want to go out and venture into some like, hey, look at Maria?
Now I like how you worded it. The want will always be there in any human being. You'll see a person, you say, I want them. But do you react on that want? Or act on that want? That's the question. You may see a person that you could just tell, not even say 2 words, but a glance can bring so much chemistry and endorphins between 2 people in a glance, and you're like, oh, let me go this way because I know that's my type. Now I'm just like my brother here. My wife is 100% my type. Everything that I desire in a woman, spiritually, physically, beauty wise, very experimental in regards to couple things. So that's the cool part. And I think for me, it's because I lived that already and I saw the pros and the cons of it take place. Because in that world, the way that we had the groups that I was in, you wore a wristband. Red wristband means that they're only here to watch. Like Jen would go with Jen with her guy, or Jen with her girlfriends would just say, you know what, for your birthday, we're gonna go to this. And you guys put on the red bands. That means that you're off limits. Don't ask those ladies, they're just here to watch, or don't ask that couple, they're just here to watch.
That. I didn't know they had wristbands. I could do the wristband.
Yellow meant that a man can have on a yellow and his wife can have on green. That means she's down for anything with anyone, but you have to ask her if he has on a yellow band, you have to ask her to be with him. If they both have on yellow, you have to ask them both. You have to go to him to ask permission to be with her, or go to her to ask for permission. And if she, it would be funny because sometimes the women would look at the wives, even though they're confident, they've been doing this for a year, they will see one woman that I don't like her. No, you can't have her. No, not her. And I've had men do that to me. Men would be like, no, you cannot be with Andre. No. And I had to ask,
is everybody naked? Is everybody naked there, or is there like little
no. It's like everybody just walking around in their regular clothes, blah blah. It's different types. But in the beginning, everybody's walking around with their clothes on, blah blah blah, and then you decide on who's going to be with who and what room and what groups and da da da. And then once you get into the rooms or into the locations, then everybody's like, slowly but surely, let's get started with the show. And then the voyeurs kind of show up with the red bands, and they would just show just to watch. So now you got these group of people that are standing in the doorway. It's almost like if you had 20 people in your bedroom watching you, and maybe 3 or 4 other people doing what you're doing.
Sound like a party.
That's I mean, it's like it's crazy because like if you crowd, it's like everybody's standing over each other. Rules are no cell phones, no photos, no, because nobody wants to put somebody's privacy out there. Number 2 rule, no ethnical statements. So you can't say anything that was N-word. Man, you hitting it. You can't use words like that. You can't use any racial tone words. That was another one. And rule number 3, women rule. So if a woman says stop, if a woman says, like one female that I was with, this is my homegirl too, and that was my boy. Her and her husband was my dude, and his name was Dre. And she would say, "I want you, Dre, you, and you," and she would say, "No body fluid." So that means no kissing, no going down on each other, no nothing, no. The only thing that you can do is probably just human sweat, if that. Okay. But she made the rules, and she would say, if I tap out at 3, you other 3 don't get mad. I get you next week. If I tap out at all 6, if I don't tap out, I want y'all to come back around. So all 6 of y'all are here with me. Make your rounds. But when I say if I say stop. So women make the rules. So no matter what you do, the woman makes the rules. And then you have this room full of people that's just kind of watching this show. I remember the first time I went, and I saw a female go through 6 beach towels in 4 minutes. I'd never seen anything like that, except for, you're watching it on your computer. And so to actually see this, you're looking like, that's the voyeurism part. that people enjoy that they don't have to get involved in, and then they can go home and enjoy. Another thing that I found out is that, like Dave was saying, some couples can get, and like you were saying, Jen, some couples think they can get in it, and when they get into it, it's a fight in the parking lot afterwards. I've seen a couple of those fights because they play nice while they're there because they don't want to cause problems in somebody else's establishment or somebody's party or somebody's home. But as soon as they get to the parking lot, she giving him an earful, or it's two dudes fighting in the parking lot. The other thing that you realize that it didn't gel when it came to that, and even this topic, sometimes women physically would become dry, or they wouldn't get that peak. If I'm trying to be correct, YouTube correct, they wouldn't get that peak because too many eyes are on them. They're so used to the romance of their man that they thought that they could be in this environment and come to their conclusion or their peak, but now they've got all these eyes around them, and they're like, I enjoy it, but I don't peak unless I'm with my man or by myself. And that's when the cheating starts. So now you got people in that world cheating with each other. So now they're mad. Now you see all type of stuff come because the woman's like, I want him. It was nice when 90 eyes were looking at me, but I can peak with this particular guy I want in another hotel by ourselves. So now she's creeping behind her man. Her man is creeping with this, and it's a whole gambit of stuff that takes place to where you like, yeah.
You have to, it sounds like, again, you have to be, what's up, Fulana La Cubana? It sounds like something you have to be built for. Kiki Jefferson asked, guys,
you really do.
Have you made it past the 7-year itch? First of all, do you believe in the 7-year itch? And have you made it past that with your significant other?
We're at 5.
I believe
relationships long at one point in time that were long enough.
You don't think it's a myth? You don't think the 7-year itch is a myth?
No. I think it's legit.
You hear this, ladies?
Yeah, I mean, but hey, now ladies get the itch too.
Oh yes, they do.
I mean, it ain't
I've
a
been with
one-way
enough
street.
wives in this life to know.
Yeah.
So you guys haven't hit 7 yet.
No.
With this, okay.
I mean, we've been together 7, so I guess you could say we've hit 7.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So this is your year.
Yeah. Yeah. Case in point. So now the clubs that I've been to, they have private rooms too. You know, you can do the voyeurism, or you can go into a private room, and they even have themed rooms, and all that. So you could get private with you know, whoever you wanted to, if that's what you wanted, or if you just wanted to let your partner go alone with someone and they can do their thing. And then once you leave that establishment, you know, it's all done, you know, which is what's, I guess, nice about those establishments. You know, you don't have to meet at a shady motel somewhere. You know, you can go there. It's almost like it's just a safe space to go in there, do your dirt. You know, maybe dirt's not a good term, but do your thing, and then leave it there, you know, and go home and go back to your normal life, you know.
Tristan is asking, Andre, do you still have the place, the address to that place, asking for a friend? Tristan, I'm coming with you. If you're gonna go, I'm coming with you. We need the red wristbands. The red, right? Is it the red?
What is it?
Tristan said, "What's the address if you know it?" He's asking for a friend.
In Tampa, you know, Eyes Wide Shut. Just look up Eyes Wide Shut in Tampa.
That's where
the best ones.
Yeah, that's
Tristan,
where I've been.
Your friend is going with my friend. Our friends are going there. Not us, but our friends.
And how I got introduced to it was my female friends brought me, so we would pretend to be a couple, but just to get through the door, because as Dave can attest to, it's easier to bring in
They prefer it.
Women than men. Men have to pay more. Like if it's $25 fee to get in for women, it's $75 fee for men to get in if he doesn't have a woman with them, type of thing.
I
It may
think
be
it's like
30,
$125 now.
Right. Thank you. They charge men like a crazy price to get in. But here's the crazy part.
Go ahead.
And Dave may be the test of this too. In that world, this is the crazy part, which I didn't know until I got into it. You can invite 50 women, 75 will show up. You can invite 50 men, you might get 15.
Really?
Men, all that talk game that you hear, men, I never knew that until I got into that world. Men got a good if I had this many women and I would do this, okay, so that world allows you to say, okay, let's see what you can do. And men don't show up like that. Women, like, okay, cool. If only to be voyeurists or to be involved. And just like he said, there are spots that they have those private rooms that you can go off into after you got done being a voyeurist. You like, hey, let's go rent us a room and let's do our thing as a couple. And so you actually can do that, but men don't show. I was cool with that. I was like, okay, 75 women, there's only 15 of us dudes. Bet. So,
and I think that maybe a lot of men truly can't show up, you know.
That's what it was.
I mean, they ain't showing up, but even if they did show up, they couldn't show up, if you know what I mean.
It was all because half of it really is a mental game of confidence to where you're like, because you're not, men aren't all bumping to each other and touching. It's nothing like that. Like, okay, bro, you on that? It's almost like silent rule. You on that side, I'm on that side.
Yeah,
we give each other that look when it's time to switch. You switch to the left, I switch to the right. It's almost like you already know that you will. The whole night you will not really bump into a dude unless like it's a dude that's maybe behind you with somebody type of thing. But for the most part, men really respect the manhood involved in it. But most guys don't realize that. And so they psych themselves out, just like Dave was saying. And so even when they get there, they think they're going to do something and they don't.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I can vouch for that because back in my day, my 20s, when I tried the whole, I like trying stuff and then never doing it again. Like I got one tattoo, like, let's see what that's like. I'm getting it. Now it's lasered off. Thank goodness. But I'm the type of person that's like, oh, I'd like to try that. So I did, the little threesome thing. And I say the little threesome thing because the guy involved, like you guys are saying right now, he could not show up. Like he couldn't perform. But prior to, like you said, Dre, he was, you girls are this, and blah, blah. And we were like, yeah, it's on and popping. And he could not perform. It was so bad. Like he kept going in the next room and trying to like get himself, you know what I mean, motivated to come back. And every time he came back, he could not perform. But prior to, it was like, I'm being, and it was like nothing. And I was like, okay, well, that was uneventful. But, I had fun, whatever.
Excuse me, Jen. I'm trying to reset so I can, I was using the outside light and I'm in Florida, so it's getting dark.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to reposition.
So what do you think about this statement right here, which seems to be a running theme? Just stay single, problem solved, right? Everybody just stay single. Do what you want and just stay single. What do you think about that? Do you think that these people are unrealistic about relationships? Like they think you get in a relationship or you're never going to want to be with anyone else? What do you feel when people say just stay single?
Well, I think that, we all want companionship,
Correct.
and you got to be able to separate. Like I said, there's a spectrum. Some people want full-on relationships with other people. They want to fall in love and have whole nother connection with somebody. Like they can be James Bond with this person. They can be Clint Eastwood with this person. They got different personality traits that they can be with each one of their relationships, and that comes out, and they love everyone equally, Then there's also that you just want the physical pleasure side of things, and there's not going to be a whole lot of emotional connection other than you vibe and you like each other. So we want to have a relationship with someone who is our soulmate, who we connect with. Whoops. I don't know what I did.
We can hear you.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've lost you. I'll have to get my technical support in here. Hey, I'm just an old country boy. I don't know about this stuff. But anyway, so you want someone who you have your companionship with, and this is just, your relationship is the steak, and all you're adding on is the spices to season things up, So I don't think that's fair to say just stay single. That's a whole nother vibe. That's a whole nother existence. And that's where I'm at with it.
What do you think, Dre? Just stay single. Why think about this? Just stay single and do what you want.
There is more to relationships than just the intimacy. As he just said, the companionship, all the growth that you can have with someone, all the things that you're accomplishing, and places that you can go to and enjoy a lot better than single individuals at times. I'll give you a perfect example. Andre and I are going to Brazil to Carnival. They moved it to April, so we'll be there in Rio in a couple of weeks, enjoying the Carnival for the first time. I could go myself if I was single and live the single man's moment, but it feels so much better to go to Carnival my first time with somebody who's going for their first time, and we both can go through the oohs and ahs together. And so there's a lot of things that come involved with relationships that you don't want to just shun because of your physical exploits are part of relationships. And the funny part is, even though I talked about some of the cons, some of the pros have kept a lot of marriages on track. So many people that I saw that were so much in love, walking to the events or to the spots, holding hands, drinking together, laughing together. Most people, I kid you not, most couples and these people were well off. It wasn't just like some type of sleazy type. We talk about judges, politicians, individuals that were very, very well off, of all different cultures and all different races. And you would see them leave just as happy as they came in. And so there are couples I found that there were more couples that were at ease and happy with this type of lifestyle. And even with the topic that you're talking about today, even that hall pass, to be happy with that, than couples that weren't happy with it, but just experiment and found out that it wasn't for them.
Yeah. What do you think about a bunch of men in the room, right? I know men, they pride themselves on size. Kiki Jefferson says maybe the men were concerned about size. Honestly speaking, is that something you ever think about when you're in these situations? Like, you're not going to be the mandingo in the room. Do you think that's a hesitation that men have?
I think it's definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an anxiety that a lot of guys would have, that just being naked with other people is
that locker room feeling.
Yeah, it's enough in itself. So if you ain't able, if you ain't gonna be the big shot in the room, and you're gonna get dwarfed by all these other dudes, then yeah, I could see a lot of people being like, nah. I'm still trying to pull y'all up. I don't know what I'm.
And that's why you have less men show up. Either it's the locker room moment, or it's my body is not physically fit as it should. You see some of these women. I'm talking about we're talking about Florida. Some of the most gorgeous women in there. We're not talking about what you see like with the older couples that's still doing it. We talk about people that are our age and younger and just looking amazing. And some of these guys when they see some of these women, they feel so intimidated because they're like, man, I still got this gut, or I still got this, I got these love stuff that doesn't mean anything. But to them, mentally, they psych themselves out. I remember one time I was at a party. First time on POF, right? Just moved to Florida. So what's up, brother? I just moved to Florida. And I go on POF, meet this nice lady, nice lady, beautiful home. She says, Andre, I'm having to get together a bunch of friends. I'm thinking like a regular get together of some intellectuals. Mm-hmm. I jump in the pool and somebody makes a statement, and then I realize what type of party I'm in. And one girl walks up to me, beautiful Italian woman walks up to me, and she said, if you walk out that pool with nothing on, I will do what you want me to. Now, mind you, this was my P90X at its peak days. So I'm 6-pack sliced up, shoulders broad. So I'm looking for a reason to show this body off. So I literally hovered out of that swimming pool with nothing on, and she did what she needed to do. But I knew I was at that party, and I knew I had confidence in myself, and I knew if I was going to be in that world, I knew what it took to be attractive to the type of women that would enter into that world. And also already knew what my body, as far as, I'm trying not to be graphic, but measurements were concerned. So I was great in regards to that, and performance was concerned. So I was great in regards to that. So I knew if I was going to be in this world, I have to be physically attractive to the type of women of a certain age that they were coming for fantasy. I was coming for fantasy. So I got to be their fantasy just as much as I would like for them to be my fantasy of that world.
I like that point. Coming for fantasy, right? Because no pun intended, but because I know if I were to venture into that, I'm not going for the dad bod. I am not picking the dad bod. If I am there and I'm like, this is it, I'm not doing the dad bod. The dad bod is usually what women have at home. So why go to these places to, what I mean? Hey, dad bod over it. No.
Right.
Jen, if I know you're going to be at the club, I'm coming as the predator. I know what you like. Some horn. I gotta have them horns on my head.
Yeah.
I forget that guy.
I walked right into that. Welcome, Big Hat. You came right on time for my next question, sir. How are you?
I'm great. I literally was off by an hour. It was, but I'm here now.
It's okay. You are here now. Okay. So ethical non-monogamy versus monogamy. You are polyamorous, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you think about, gentlemen? This question is for all of you. He hit me with the predator. I can't hide from that now. I cannot hide from that.
I'm coming as Venom, so
there we go. There we go.
I'm gonna start a whole new sex club, okay? So, forget the furries. Let's get Predator, Chewbacca, and Venom in the building.
Hey, I bet. Just Google it. It's out there.
Okay, so let's focus. What do you think?
Turning red over here.
Hef is polyamorous, very proudly so. He speaks about it often and gets a lot of heat. I've seen Hef get a lot of heat in the YouTube streets for his lifestyle choice. What do you guys think about when people say that ethical non-monogamy is ruining the fiber of the country, is ruining specifically the fiber of our communities? It's not beneficial to our communities financially, emotionally. It's not beneficial to raise children with these lifestyles. What do you think about that? Is there some truth to it, or should everybody mind their own damn business? Do you feel responsible for making the community better and keeping your dick in your pants? Or should everybody mind their own business? What do you feel about it's like when they say it ruins the fiber of the American family and what we're supposed to be doing here? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm probably the most conservative one on the panel, so I guess I'll go first. I mean, I see what people would be thinking and where their mind's at when they say that. However, if you're trying to put people in a box and put all these boundaries on people, and they got something in them that wants to get out, they're just going to cheat. You know, if you don't spice things up, if you don't allow people to be themselves, they're just going to cheat. And what's that going to do to the family and to the morals of a nation? I mean, you're just gonna have a bunch of broken homes anyway. So why not try a new social experiment, and let's see if, hey, you might have more couples staying together and raising their kids through broadening their horizons. I mean, people gonna do what they're gonna do, and they're gonna, if it's in them and they need to step out, they're gonna step out. At least this way there's transparency and everybody's on board. And ethical non-monogamy, you can set healthy boundaries, and if you do something you're not comfortable with, you can rein it in, and say, look, I didn't like the way that made me feel. We ain't going there again. Let's not do that. Let's do this. So hey, America started out as a social experiment, and we're still experimenting, see what's going to work.
Right. So I like what you said, what people have in them, no pun again. I like what you said people have in them, because I think people underestimate greatly what other people have ticking in their minds. I think people get into these relationships and these marriages, and they think my husband is not even thinking about that, or my wife would never. They underestimate, okay, the explosion that's going on, the conversations we have with our friends that pique an interest, the movies that we see that pique an interest, the things we see out in the world and our workplace that pique an interest. I think people underestimate that we are constantly seeing and hearing different things that make us want to experiment, that make us want to go outside of relationships. People underestimate that. I do not, because I know how my mind works. Predator, for instance, like you never know. Seriously, you never know what's in someone's mind. So, Dre, what do you feel about people criticizing the lifestyle choices and how it's detrimental? Especially, I've heard them say it's detrimental, that polyamory is bad for the Black community specifically, and we have enough broken homes, and how dare you, blah blah. And these are things I've actually heard in these spaces. What do you think about that?
Well, for whatever reason, when people have strong feelings behind their beliefs, they want to push those beliefs off on you and try to make it a one size fits all type of deal. I was on one panel, and they went as far as to say that human nature has evolved so much that monogamy is the direction that relationships are supposed to go in. I'm actually devolving or regressing or something of the sort. And I'm like, wow, that's I'm turning into a whole primitive animal out here. Wow, that's deep, and they can't even hear what they're saying themselves. If there's an issue with so many broken homes, well, why are those homes broken? Is it because these people tried to do something? They tried to conform to the ideas of society and failed at it miserably and horribly, or they were just doing marriage wrong? Like, well, you're making a point and at the same time refuting your point. So besides minding your own business, you have to understand that everybody's not built the same. There are people out here who want to identify with being cats and want to be, walked on a dog leash, and that's how they want to consume their food. It's crazy to me, So just the way some people feel poly life is crazy to them, I feel marriage life is crazy to me. I just can't see it. I can appreciate the fact that others enjoy it and find happiness and solace in it, but at the same time trying to wrap my mind around telling myself that one significant other can satisfy all stimuli and all ideas, or ideas that we can come together as a group and we can share expenses and we can comprise our funds together. We can split responsibilities around the house. Who doesn't need an extra hand when you're raising kids? That's always come in handy, I think if everybody is mature, responsible, and you're practicing something healthy, then you're doing it the right way. And anybody who's going to tell you that you're doing something wrong, or this is immoral, or this is just an excuse for me to sleep with random women, or I'm not trying to what is the other thing they kept saying? I'm so like empty or something. I'm feeling a void with multiple women. Like it's crazy. It's insane. And for this to be a tactic for me to sleep with multiple women, well, majority of every woman we know is trying to have a man to themselves. They want him to be their own personal possession and piece of property. So if I approach 10 women a day, 9.5 of them finds out that I'm polyamorous and they run. They don't want to hear that. Meanwhile, any one of the women I'm dating, they walk into a room and say, I'm polyamorous. Every guy says, great, I'm down. What's your number? So this isn't to my advantage at all. If anything, I'm setting myself up for a bunch of lonely nights.
That's a good point.
They're going to have suitors of all shapes and sizes and different financial backgrounds. I'm little old poor old me trying to figure life out over here. So I'm definitely not scheming to get multiple women. This is the dumbest tactic ever. So yeah, that's my stance on it.
That's a great point. Yeah, and kudos to you for keeping your composure on that panel, because I remember that panel. You did very well. I was even a little I was like, wow, how did he become that? All of that. You know what I mean? It was
and
interesting.
I couldn't even finish a statement. Every time I started speaking, somebody was barking. I was like, all right, okay, beat up on me day. All right.
Yeah, it was interesting. Dre, what do you think about polyamory or non-ethical, monogamy ruining our communities?
I look at it from the perspective of even from the perspective of how we even look at religions. Everybody have their religions. We have to respect each other's beliefs and our choices that we make. It's the same thing when it comes to relationships. We have to be willing to respect each other's relationships. And the one thing that I can say in that world, whether it be ethical monogamy, whether it be the swinger world, most of those people that I met were very rational thinkers. None of them were like, oh, we just so happen to show up to this spot. They actually had talked about it, discussed it, whether it worked for them or it didn't. They had a discussion about it more than one time, to when they just went in, if only for voyeurism. They kind of knew. I didn't see Ray and Nook in those sects. I sent those events. I never saw, even when the young lady invited me to a party to her house, it was all people that were a high 5-figure, high 6-figure, people that have positions, people that were like, I'm in college getting my second degree. It was always people that had some type of rationality about how they were going about doing this. So for the most part, that probably gave me more comfort and respect for others' decisions, such as Hef, because most of the time, people such as Hef and O and others that are involved in this, they're thinkers. There are people that think about their decisions, because just like Hef said, this is not to, if you look at the statistics, he's correct. It's not to my benefit to sit back and tell 10 women that I know 9 women are going to say no, but if I lied to them, I could get probably 8 of them to go along with me. So I agree with what he said, but individuals such as himself and others, I noticed that they are thinkers, and that's why it makes me a little bit more at ease to say, stay out of people's businesses, because these people aren't the Ray Rays and the Kikis of the neighborhoods. These are normally people that are very rational, analytical thinkers that have made a decision that you may not agree with, but at least they thought about it or talked about it or at least tried it out to see if it works or not for them.
I agree with that 100%. And the John Levon just said, dang, I was polyamorous during my 20s and 30s and didn't even know it. That's usually what men do, right? But they'll lie about it. They'll get involved with a woman and act like it's just going to be him and her. And really, they're just like, hey, I'm out here doing me, but I know you want to hear, I just want you. So I'm just going to tell you, I just want you, so I can do what I have to do. Only one time in my life did I ever get approached by a man who had all the bells and whistles for me. Okay. I was like, hey, he's great. And he drove me home one time from work. I told this story before, and he was like, you're everything I want in a girlfriend. You're this, you're that, blah, blah. He's going down the bio. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I like you too. He was like, but, and I was like, but, and he was like, I've never been faithful to any woman I've ever been with. And you need to know that. And I said, wow. I was like, well, I had to, and this story was so many years ago, but it stuck with me because it was honest, right? Now I didn't have to indulge, but the fact that that man was honest with me, I had to respect that. And I always tell that story because to this day, I respect it. Where most men, I've gotten involved with men, it was like, hey, it's just me and you. And I'm like, who's that bitch? Why is your ex calling you at 2:00? You know what I mean? So, So salute to the men that are like, no, this is how I am, and this is how it's gonna be. What would you like to do? Because 9 times out of 10, a man is thinking that he's just not gonna tell you. He's not gonna tell a woman because then he's asked out of whatever, the date, the sex, the relationship. Haran, how are you, sir? Welcome to the panel. What say you?
Hello. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of things to unpack when we're discussing the perception of polyamory in regards to the community. I think it's a lot deeper than just polyamory. One of the things that we just don't discuss often in the Black community is that we have a very conservative and safe perception in regards to sex and relationships. Anything that's deemed a bit off color or colors at least the least bit out of the lines is often perceived as, if you pardon the phrase, that white shit. You know what I mean? Like polyamory, whether it be swingers, so on and so forth. Now, in regards to, do I think that is, that has a negative impact on the community? No, trust me. Polyamory, if that is a problem, it is way down the list of the things that have a negative impact on the Black community.
I would agree.
You know what I mean? And another thing with me, I tell people, like, look, my life isn't a secret, but that doesn't mean it's any of your business. You know what I mean? This is, and if folks understood that, a lot of people wouldn't be as offended by a lot of things that they actually are offended by. Now, with all that being said, I think that a lot of people are a lot more curious than they let on, but they don't necessarily pursue these feelings or pursue these urges because of what both gentlemen were just saying earlier. It's not necessarily in your best interest as a man to actually admit, like, yeah, this is my lifestyle and this is what I do. Yeah, you really tone down a lot of your prospects, and your batting average tends to take a hit when you say that, yeah, this is the road that I'm going down. And yes, it would be easier to lie, and it would be easier to create this, these worlds and manipulate and so on and so forth. But in the long run, it's just not beneficial to you. Now, lastly, I think that anyone who's actually let's take for instance, I know a couple, and both of them constantly cheat on each other. And I actually asked the dude one day, I'm like, let me ask you something. Why don't both of you just have an open relationship?
Mhm.
And he looked at me like, how could you ask me such a thing? Like, wait a minute. Both of you, like, you spent the last 2-3 years cheating on each other repeatedly, and you're getting back together. Like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Like, I'm asking you a toxic question, but the current situation that you're in, that's good. That's okay. But the fact that I asked you I proposed a scenario where, of course, there could be guidelines, there could be, rules and so on and so forth or whatever. But you both know that, hey, this is the life that we're living, and it gives you both the space to breathe. And he didn't want to talk about it, and I respected it. But I suspected that, as long as they would, as long as what they were doing would be perceived as kind of living in the shadows, then it can be the elephant in the room that, everyone could kind of like, you deal with it. Because strangely enough, people could deal with cheating, but they can't deal with an admittance of everyone kind of agreeing to want to do their own thing. And I think that's the deeper question. Are you cool with cheating, but you're not cool with admitting that you both want to do something other than just be monogamous to each other? And I think people need to ask that question.
So let's make it a little spicy, piggybacking off of something you said. And Dre, you can answer to this because I think you have the most experience in the room. I think I don't know because we got Hef on the panel too.
I know, right?
Dre got it.
Right,
He's the Messiah.
Let me ask this. Haran did say that sometimes, we hear a lot when we see something on the wall or coloring outside the lines. We said that's that white shit, right? You're like, yeah, white people do that. So I know we got Mark to that, who have gone into this lifestyle who are not white, ratio white to black or whatever. When you go in these spaces, what do you see? Is it like the rainbow? Is it mainly black? Is it mainly white?
Were you asking me? You were breaking up a little bit.
Go ahead, Mark.
From what I'm seeing, it's you got all walks of life, but I mean, I'm my area. You're probably going to get that. Now, one thing that I do note when I go in these places is you have a handful of single black men that'll go in and they'll pay the big money to get in, and they just go and post up at a high top and wait for a couple to come and grab him and take him to the back because I guess they're wanting to do some I mean, I don't know if I can even say it on here, but
interesting.
Yeah.
They want to watch as you said, Mandingo, plow down. So I do see a lot of that. These black men, I guess they're like, the heck with going out there and having to spit game. I'm just going to go in here, pay the money that I'd spend on buying girls drinks anyway. And I'm just going to post up, and it ain't going to be long before they just let's go next door. and I see a lot of that going on. It's like, man, these guys found a honey hole.
A honey hole. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could do that. I mean, I might be able to pull it off just because, I'm tall and handsome, maybe, but I don't think it's the same vibe. I think these guys, they go in there and they just like, hey, I'll just post up and it ain't gonna be but a minute. And I'm gonna get my.
Dre, can you vouch for that? Is that
I can vouch 1,000% for that. That's happened to me many a times. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I'm talking about some very influential. I mean, the nicest couples. That's the part. It's not like it's sleazy world and these couples aren't in love and they're trying to hold a marriage together. No, these are really nice professional. I'm talking about the first time it happened to me, the guy was a judge and I forgot what his wife owned, like several businesses. And I'm walking out the door and the husband pulls me to the side and says, listen, and I'm like, okay. And all the wife wanted was to go down. She was like, I just want to taste him. I just want to taste the brother. She said, I ain't never tasted a brother. I want to taste the brother. And so he told me, and I was like, cool, I'm down. And
Taste me.
Taste the brother. And the second time it happened to me was I just was with this señorita from Orlando, and then I was going to another room where because sometimes when you're in between, you're a voyeurist. Like if you're not performing with somebody, and you may whether it be in a private room or in a room or in a group setting, you're a voyeurist. You just kind of stand around because sometimes you want to just watch like ooh and ah. And so I'm ooh and ah, and all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's a couple beautiful wife and so forth and so forth. And he's like, listen, my wife is, and I'm like, come on, let's go. And so it does happen. And I like how he put his analogy, because that was my train of thought after the first couple of times. Why go to a regular club or a dance club where I gotta make it rain? Like in the United States, the only country that does that, but make it rain or buy all these drinks when I could go ahead, take my little 125, go in here, and it is guaranteed. And if it's the type of spots that I'd like to go to, I know that a large percent are going to be very attractive Gen-ish type of women in there that are professional but beautiful, take care of themselves, and just are out for a good evening and a good time. So I know my 125 is well worth the if I would have got in a regular club or in a dance club. And so my knowledge was like, this 125 is well worth the investment.
And I stress that to a lot of men, even in the so-called manosphere, who are always complaining about what women won't do, what they want women to be. I'm like, take your little $125, go somewhere where you can get some guaranteed action,
Yes,
and
it
leave
is.
most of the women alone. Take your 125, go do what you want to do with those women. There are a lot of women who sell vag who are attractive, and they'll get down with you and your belly for $125. Like,
but I've seen some white brothers. I've seen some white brothers come kicking in the door with that confidence and had them sisters losing their mind. I've seen some white brothers kicking that door like they Justin Timberlake, like what's up?
Hey,
And had them
there's some white boys that come with a blizzard. They gonna pull out a lot of snow.
Oh yeah,
I just want to just say something though. I just want to really say something.
Going crazy. Yeah, man. I see some white brothers get theirs in too.
In that kind of environment, I just really want to just make something clear. Like in that kind of environment, it's okay. You when you show up, you're gonna show up looking, at your absolute best. So it's assumed that the women there are going to be desirable, hopefully, especially if you're paying. Just for the people who might be interested in this, one of the things that I do see in the poly world is that, let's just say, not every girl you bump into is going to look like Jen, for instance. So don't think that every girl in the poly world is nice looking. There's more nice looking girls in the swinger world, you know what I mean, or in settings like that, where, because I mean the agreed expectance is sex. So yeah, everyone wants to look desirable or so on and so forth. But if it's just the poly world, like, yeah, not saying like every poly girl is ugly, but every poly girl isn't attractive. Let's just put it that way.
Who can tell us what polygamy is? Because since we're learning today, we are learning. What's polygamy? I've heard of it.
I think polygamy.
I haven't heard that one.
Polygamy is like multiple wives.
Like, could be a typo. Okay.
Yeah, because you have polygamy, which is male oriented. Then you have polyandry, which is female oriented, and then you have polyamory.
Okay. And you are
polyamorous.
Polyamorous.
Like the other two to me seem like it's going to be very one-sided. Like I like the idea of the fairness, you know. I'm no better than you, you're no better than me. The things that I enjoy and I appreciate, likewise, I could see or understand that you might be into the same type of things.
And polygamy would be like what the Mormons practice a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, where they have multiple wives.
Right.
But
versus
the women have multiple husbands.
right.
Yeah.
And, which I don't think is very common. I don't know where that goes on.
There's a country in Africa that I came across a while back when somebody brought that topic up. I forget which one it is, but women do have multiple husbands, and it's the norm.
Yeah, I know some tribes, you know, they just intermingle, and the kids are like the children, they don't necessarily know who the father is. It's just that's a child of the tribe, you know, and the tribe raises them. So
yeah, I'm not with that. I need to know who my dad is.
they don't have Murray over there.
no furries. Kiki says, how is it
Murray, the Murray show.
The Murray. How is it not awkward when you run into them at Walmart? Do you speak to them or what?
Yeah. These people
yeah. You're not like, oh my God, I'm here by the cabbage. And
see, that's the cool part about that world is the most of the time the husbands aren't hiding from the wife. That's his wife right over on the other side of the room, or that's her girlfriend, or his girlfriend on the other side of the room. Or so when you plus when you're there, you exchange information. So y'all got each other, like I said, each other's cell phone. We're texting on Friday at work. We're talking about, when I see you guys, blah, 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 blah. What time y'all gonna get there? Oh, make sure you bring my favorite drink, blah, 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 blah. Oh, tell your girl where that, blah, 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 blah. You always conversing anyway. So when you run across each other in the grocery store, hey, what's up, dog? And you just talking. But you may not be talking about that topic in the grocery store, but that's what my point is. These are really nice, professional, rational. What blew me away was there were people outside of the physical intimacy that were thinkers like me. When it came to politics, I found that there were thinkers like me. When it came to business, I was making business connections. When it came to education, when it came to a certain book I was reading, to come to find out that the wife was reading that exact same book. So you find that a lot of these people are very intellectual, rational thinkers. Like I said, I rarely saw Ray from the hood up in them sets. He too cheap to come out. Even if he a baller, he's still too cheap to realize that 125 is worth the investment. And because he's so used to being the ghetto superstar in the regular clubs and in the dance clubs, he doesn't realize the mental benefit of paying that 125. So I rarely, if ever, saw Nook and Keith Nim in those spots. And so
that's why when I see a guy bragging about money or bragging about possessions, and you look at his friends and all of them are a bunch of bums, you know, some the math ain't math. Yeah. The math ain't math. If you're the rich guy with the money and the clout and the status, why are all 3 or 4 of your friends that you hanging out with on a continuous basis? Okay, Dusty, and Dusty the sequel. Right. So
I mean, and then some of the houses that they have when they invite everybody to their house. I mean, you're looking at some of these houses like, whoa, this your spot? Or like when you go to a key party, you guys you know what a key party is, correct?
Put your key in the bowl.
You put the key in the bowl. All the men put their key in one bowl. The ladies put their keys in another bowl. You swirl your hand around as a guy, and the ladies, you pull out your partner, and then the ladies will swirl their hands around the men key bowl, and she got her partner. They take care of business, put the keys right back into the bowls, pick somebody else.
Wait, what are the keys to? The cars or that?
The keys to your car, or just be a key that you extra spare key to whatever that you may have.
The key is just to identify who
has, just that's all it's for. Maybe an old key that you have, and you have your name on it, and or something that lets people know that that's your key. Maybe a color or whatever it may be.
What is happening? What if the person whose key you grab is not attractive or
got news? But here's what we used to do.
Can I throw the key back?
No,
like,
because
Let me swirl this bowl up a little bit.
Thank you. Shake the bowl up. Thank you. Shake the bowl up for her. And so at the end of the day, what we used to do when we used to throw them, we used to make sure that these were the type of guys, didn't matter about culture, and couples that were attractive, and that the single women and the single men were the type that most people, not all, but most people will find an attract. We would invite a Hef. We would invite a Dave. I don't know what the other brother looks like, because these guys had the look that come across that most people would be, or most females would say, I find that particular bearded look attractive. I find the red bone brother attractive. So at the end of the day, you would have those type of people that you knew, and they would do that with the ladies. Like, we're not going to have just Jen walk up, but then she got her friend that may not be as attractive. So at the end of the day, we will make sure that it was always fair with the men and the women. But the crazy part was, like I mentioned earlier, women will always show up because women are like, hey, let me get this fantasy on. But men would have that mental block, and then you'll get 15 dudes at the key party. And so it was cool with me because I throw my key right back in there, swirl it up.
Everybody's at least, you know what I mean, average and decent looking. That's fair, because I will put the key back. I am not. I will put the key back. Oh, I want to take this fucking key.
And then paying attention to who pulls their key out. Like, I'm grabbing that Ferrari key. That's the one.
You know, it's really.
We have a lady joining us. Thank goodness, because
There we go. Come on board.
There is so much going on right now. Hello, Miss Polly. How are you? Welcome to the panel.
Hello.
I'm good. How are you?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, welcome. So I don't know how much you've heard, but we're talking about ethical non-monogamy versus monogamy, and what's better, what lifestyle is better, and are people who are claiming to be monogamous, are they in denial? What's your general opinion? You are polyamorous?
Yeah, I'm actually polyandry currently. So so I'm polyandry. So I am a woman when I have multiple male partners.
Oh, okay. That's a girl power. Let's go. All right, let's hear it. We're here for it. We are here for it.
That's a good idea now, huh? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Perked up. No
like,
pad at all.
You know, it's not that bad. It's not, I imagine. Hey, it is what it is.
Right.
I mean, you got enough roles for two of us, but
right. I mean, it is a little different. Like you said, you can like transition through the ways. Like you can go to polyamory and then be polyandry next day. You be in a polygamous relationship. It kind of doesn't matter. But it just depends on your partner and what that'll change the status of what you are. So it's not something that's stagnant. It changes. But I will say I really enjoy just being in a relationship more than one person, because I have the capacity to love more than one person. But either way, it sounds really nice, you know, to have a person you can really bond with. And then if you so happen to find someone else, you're not restricted in getting to know them and getting to spend time with them. You're not restricted. So I think if you're poly in any kind of way, it really is an opportunity to actually just like expand on who you are. So I think it's opportunity versus monogamy, which I'm not against monogamy. I've been monogamous. It's not a bad thing. I've been monogamous with someone who was into lifestyles, who like to, they were okay with swapping all that. I wasn't really into it, but they were like that way. But being monogamous with them in that, it still has a lot of restriction when it comes to mental engagement. And so if you're not a person who's really strictly about sexual stuff, it can restrict you, and it kind of can make your partner a little jealous, because if you start to have that mental connection with someone else, it could bring up issues like, well, wait a second, it was just supposed to be a sexual thing, but it's more than that. So I think if you're monogamous, you kind of have a little bit like more restriction, especially I think with married couples. I think that's one of the things, a lot of people who are married, they feel like, okay, well, I'm supposed to just cut off everyone and everything for me just to be with my partner, because I'm going to show them that I'm in this and I'm committed to just them, and they're supposed to be my everything. And I honestly don't believe that everyone's your everything. There could be a lot of things important to you, but you know, there could be someone who has other components that you enjoy that your partner doesn't. They could have knowledge that you guys are learning maybe the same things. You're learning a language, they're learning the language. You're gonna connect with them, and it doesn't always have to be sexual, but according to monogamous rules, you're violating those restrictions because you're not supposed to be indulging in even conversations or starting to maybe feel something more than just friendship. Then that there's a problem because you're violating those monogamous rules. So I think if you're not monogamous, then it kind of helps you be more free about how you move and you act on your daily life, really. So it's not really a bad thing. It's just a lot more restrictions and being in the know of what you're actually doing. So either way.
That's a lot. That is a lot to peel the layers back on. I love what you said about, it's true. It's like sometimes I spoke about this before about having certain interests, right? And I just threw something out there like, I want to skydive. Let's just say I want to skydive, and my partner may be like, I'm not into that. I don't want to do anything. I'm not jumping out of a plane. I said the problem with that is when I go skydive, and I'm just using myself as an example, so nobody DM me about shit, okay? You know, when I go skydive, they're going to be all the guys that like skydiving are going to be skydiving, right? And then I and those guys have, you know, common interests, and that could pose a problem for back home. And I think, again, that's something that people that are monogamous underestimate. When people want to explore and experience things, and you're kind of like, no, not me. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's an excuse for cheating. I'm just saying that it's intriguing when you meet people that have the same interests that you do, but your spouse does not. That is all I'm saying. Really quickly, I just want to say, I know everybody has their own opinions, and I feel like I have to say this. Jedidiah, Afis, Malak, I don't know what you mean by defiled, but what I don't do on this channel, okay? We can all have our own opinions. There's a lot of people in the chat who are not down with the poly, but we're not going to talk about anyone up here in a negative light, especially women. I know that happens a lot on the YouTube streets, and it's a lot of fun, but on the block with Jen, not happening here, okay? Thank you very much. I will block you. So enjoy the live stream. I love differing opinions, but we're not going to play that here, okay? If this is too much for you and you're solely monogamous and you can't fathom the idea of a poly life, fuck off my panel and fuck off my channel. Respectfully.
There we go.
There we go. You know what? I don't really understand. I think that people have some sort of, I think a lot of people have some sort of masochism fetish, because why would you show up to places to get triggered? Like, why? Like, you know, this is not your it's not your scene. You know what I mean? This is not your thing. Why would you show up to feel triggered and feel angered? Like, you really don't have anything else going on for you. Like, you're like
I'm not going to R. Kelly fan party. I'm not gonna.
Right, exactly. Like, that's just not my thing. That's just not my thing, man. Like, it's cool. You know what I mean? And there's certain elements of Bali that's not my jam. But I'm not gonna tell this person like, yo, man, you shouldn't be doing that. That's defiling and that's disgusting. I'm like, no. Look, man, as long as you don't put sugar on grits, you're okay with me.
I like sugar on my grits.
Psychopaths put sugar on grits. But anyway, that is what it is. That's where I stand. That's the hell. I'm not debating it. It's the hell I stand on. Thank you. Okay.
One of them salt people. Salt and butter.
Exactly.
See, I already knew with a little bit of pepper.
You know what? Let's use it, Miss Polly. Do you feel that? Let's use it, because I'm that's how I am. I take shit and turn it to sugar, and then I put it on grits. Haran. But Miss Polly, do you feel like you get judged more harshly than men in the lifestyle? Is that something you come across a lot?
Yes, I will be honest with you. You know, since I started my own YouTube channel myself, one of the reasons why is because even in the poly community, I am seen as a no. And so I like to talk about it, and I like to have the conversation with people who are even in poly with me who don't agree, and people who are not, because sometimes just having that conversation of really breaking down what it really means when it comes to being in a relationship with someone. Sometimes just to have that conversation and talk it out with them, they change their mind a little bit. Not the idea that they would do it necessarily, but the idea of what it means and what it actually stands for. A lot of people misunderstand it as all sexual, and that is a big issue. And they don't understand. And so there's the other side is poly, in the poly community, polygamous. I'll argue with them all day. It's a challenge. We may not agree, but we can agree to disagree. Just because of where they stand. I'm just absolutely an abomination. So it doesn't really bother me, and I appreciate that. Like, but I know that I'm against it already. But it just so happened that the people that I care about are men. So it's not like, and on top of all that, what makes it worse, I think I haven't really seen anyone like me who's very public. I'll be honest, because I am a Black female and I date Black males who are, who are actually not bisexual, and usually they're monogamous to start. So I actually have a lot more of all of it. I had the most challenging role in poly because I'm dealing with those kind of men. And mostly the reason why they're monogamous at first is because of where I live. I live in a very conservative place. And so just being poly is kind of hard. But then being a Black male who, it's a lot. So the transitioning phase, I really work with anyone I'm with to transition. So that's where I'm really doing. So yeah, it's one of those things. I'm kind of used to it now.
I want to take a super chat break, and then I'm going to ask you a question, Miss Polly. Thank you, Necessary Evil, for the super chat. She says, I've been in a poly relationship for 8 years. I am a second wife. First wife, and I speak every day, keeping him at the center core. Here's a smoothie, Jen. Thank you. She always says that because I'm like, buy me a smoothie in my Cash App. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your honesty. So maybe you can follow Miss Polly's channel, seeing as she said a lot of people aren't vocal about it, and you just were. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Miss Polly, what did you mean by even in the poly world you're a no? Why are you a no?
Because I date two males, and usually not to polyamorous. Polyamorous is more like build your own. When you're polyamorous, you'll usually see tripods where they're all dating each other. And so if I was in a situation where I was dating my boyfriend and he was maybe bisexual and had another male partner, and we were all dating each other, that would be a polyamorous tripod, and that would be more common than what I am. So I'm actually dating two people separately, kind of in a V shape. So I am the thing that holds them together. Same thing in polygamy, but it's a male. When you're dealing with polygamists, they are like, they have a whole structure. And, I love it. I think it's amazing. They have a structure. They have a reason why we're doing this. This is our goals. This is our path. This is our journey. And they say a man has to lead that. And so for me, if they look at me as someone who is the opposite of them, they're like, well, you can't lead. And so I even tell them, I said, to some degree, now this is why we kind of mesh with them, is to some degree, I agree that even when I'm with, my male partners, I am feeling like I'm not leading. They're leading still. Mm-hmm. I still feel submissive. I still feel like they're leading and we're just doing things as a whole. But I know on the other spectrum, they don't believe that. So it's kind of one of those things. So even in the poly realm, I am someone where they wouldn't see someone who's normally in my position. So that's what makes it a little weird. So you don't see a lot of women who are like me, I guess.
Okay, so Hef, I want to throw it to you, and then Miss Polly, you can answer this too, because you're poly, Hef, and you said that you used to be monogamous. Miss Polly said the same thing. Now, I feel, and people are gonna get mad at me, but I feel like the majority of humans are not monogamous. It's a majority, right?
Right.
Yeah, you know me, I can do this. Right?
Well,
It makes you feel comfortable. But I feel that the majority of human beings are not monogamous. Are there some people that can be monogamous and that's their thing? They're like the, swans and they're gonna mate forever and live and die. Yes, I do believe that there are some human beings out here that are built that way. Very much so. I'm putting that out there. Do not DM me feelings, okay?
Before
yeah,
before you before you go into it, I got to get ready to do another live stream. I appreciate the panel. Excellent topic. You always do a great show. So even if you don't see me in your stream or in your chat, I'm always watching. So I appreciate what you're doing, Jen. And Health, you already know, man. I really believe personally that the poly on YouTube is needed. These conversations are really needed. That's why I think you guys' channel is really going to take off, because it's such a small niche and there are so many of us that are inquisitive, and you guys are going to take off. I promise you, the next year it will amaze you how fast and how much your audience will take off, because of so many people have so many questions. And so once again, Jen, my man Dave, my other brother, I appreciate you all. And I got 5 minutes before going to the next live stream.
All right. Thank you
all
so
right,
much.
Dre.
Yeah. We'll chat.
Oh yeah.
So
So yeah, so I was saying that you were monogamous, so was Miss Polly, and then you guys decided, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm doing this now. I feel like that's majority of people. They feel that, but a lot of them don't venture into it because of religion, societal pressure. Their parents didn't get divorced, what have you. Their sisters would look at them funny. But what finally made you decide, you know what, this monogamy thing is not for me. I'm just going to do poly and life is short and I want to be happy. And this is what I'm going to do. What finally made you decide that? Because you could probably be speaking to people out here who are feeling that way and don't want to take that next step because they're just afraid.
Well, it's hilarious. These ideas are forced on you at an age where not much of anything makes sense. You don't have the experience to back up what's being told to you, and something isn't sitting right with you. In the bottom of your gut, you're like, something's off. Trying to date in school was like, it was mind-numbing to me because I always had an interest in somebody else. It's like, yeah, she's cool and we walk to class together and stuff, but I want more. I want to talk to her too, and I don't want her to be upset about it. And you try to conform. You see everybody telling this lie that they're really about this, they really believe in it, but you're looking around and you see everybody's lying. My mom's lying, she cheats on my dad. My dad's lying, he cheats on her. And you're just looking across the world and you're like, why is everybody lying to themselves? Don't nobody believe this? Everybody's saying it's so amazing and this is what life's about, but nobody's keeping up with it. And once my daughter's mom got pregnant, I was like 19 and I was confused at how I was going to keep playing this game of repressing my ideas and feelings to channel in and focus on one person. And I've said this to you before. People will want you to sign up for a bad deal. They don't do anything to encourage this to be a way of life that you could commit to. I'm going to work every day. I work overnight shifts. I get up at 3 a.m, come home at 12 or 1, and the house is dirty, baby's crying, like nothing looks the way that you want it to look. And I'm like, I'm 19, I want to go outside and play. And she's mad that I'm kicking it with the homies. She's mad that about this and that. Like every time I look up, she upset about something. And you like, I'm overwhelmed by this. This is stupid. You know what? I'm gonna take care of my kid. I'm out. I'll see you later. And from that point on, I made a pact with myself that I'd never lie to another woman about being monogamous again. I don't care how many women I lose. I don't care who don't want to talk to me anymore. I'm done with it. It's stupid. And you continue to go through life, because like at this time, nobody's even said the word polyamorous to me. I've never heard the term, so I'm like, you know, I'm in open relationships. That's the best way that I could express it at the time. I want an open relationship. I don't want anybody to treat me like a possession. I want my human rights. I deserve my human rights, and that's the way I'm going to live. So you start to think, you thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and the wheels are turning, and you're like, why does terms like cheat even exist in a world that's monogamous? Why do you know this term? You're a monogamous person. Why are we using this term so often? How can this even exist? You know, if everybody's about this, if this is who you actually are, what is this? And you keep seeing the lie get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know, I've seen good marriages, and the man is a particular way, the wife is a particular way. They complement each other. He handles his end of the deal, she handles her end of the deal, and they meet in between for something beautiful. So it was simple enough for me to say, that's just not for me. And I came to the conclusion one day that if you can't understand polyamory, like if you don't see the valid points in it, you probably won't be good at monogamy, because this says you don't have the capability of being understanding. If you can be understanding, if you can have compassion and you know, be a decent person, then monogamy can work for you. And part of that understanding is, hey, there are better deals out here than me, and it's probably in my best interest to motivate my significant other to see that I'm a great deal, I'm an awesome deal too. And it's that type of thinking that made me feel like polyamory is honest, it's real, it works, it's valuable, and yeah.
So you came to it the same way I came to atheism, because from a very young age, I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right that I'm praying to something that's not responding, and I'm seeing all this destruction in the world, and you know, people are, this one is blessed but this one isn't, this one is dying but this one, it didn't sit well with me for years. And that's something innate within me. No one told me that it didn't make sense. It just didn't sit well with me, and I started asking questions. And then, like you say, when you saw monogamous relationships, how terrible they can be, that's how I started seeing religious people. So then I was like, something is not adding up here. This is not making sense to me. And before you know it, I just went into my own, you know what I mean, thing of like, I'm not subscribing to this lifestyle anymore. It just doesn't sit well with me. With that said, as you guys know, I'm an atheist that encourages religion, because a lot of people do need religion. So I completely understand that. And I do agree with you that a lot of the stuff that we do traditionally is just generational. It's just like, hey, my parents did it, my grandparents did it, so I'm just going to sign up for it, and I'm going to do it too. Meanwhile, you're not really happy. You don't like the lifestyle. You don't like the choice. And then if you notice, as we get older, we're like, I'm not doing that anymore, because I'm not under the umbrella of my parents or my grandparents or the scrutiny of the church and what have you. Ms. Polly, what made you decide, after being monogamous at first, what made you decide, like, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm doing this. This feels better to me.
Right. Like you said, we're in a society where it's not any other option really. You brought up to see this is monogamy, you have that choice. And like you said, like when I was younger in my teens, I would know like, oh, I like someone and I like someone else. But then it kind of made me feel like I had to pick at someone. I had to find something wrong with someone to then make them not as worthy as another for no reason. So I have to nitpick, oh, well, could I? Well, he does that, but that one doesn't. But it didn't really bother me that much, but I had to find out which one was not as good as the other. And there really was no purpose to that, because even in the flaws, I liked them. But I had to say, well, since that's a flaw, I just, maybe there's something else over here. I have to pick one. And so I have to now dissect you into the bad things about you. I didn't really like that. And I didn't like to have to really choose one when it wasn't necessary. Not like, okay, well, this one's nice, this one's not. It was like I had to choose because that was the only option, was to make a choice. And I was always chose partners that were really lenient. There wasn't anyone who was really restricting to my interactions with other people. The people who usually had a lot of, you know, self-esteem, they didn't really. So I usually got with someone who didn't mind if I talked to other guys. You know, they did have boundaries to some degree, but there was, you know, a lot of room to move around and maneuver. So I didn't feel really restricted. I've always dated like that. And one of the longest relationships I've been in was with someone who I always knew he was lifestyleish. He would never admit it, but I'm like, the stuff you do is lifestyleish. So he was already kind of feeling flexible with things. So yeah, I decided when I kind of started finding out more about the actual language and what poly was, I said, you know, that's something I would be interested in. And I think that's what I'm aiming for. I knew about lifestyles, but I was like, I want more than the sex. That's not what I want to connect with. Not that that's horrible, but I didn't want just that. It was more. And so then that's when I said, you know, I think this is what I want to do, is actually have a whole nother boyfriend or a whole nother partner to be with, and then try to make that work as a whole. So that's where I kind of decided I wanted to make the change. But I was already, like I said, very, you know, very open with boundaries. The restrictions weren't as tight. So that was just a choice I made dating. But yeah, I do see like a lot of people now trying to, you know, like nitpick at people that find this perfect one, or feel like women want to be chosen. And it's really hard because there's a lot more. We know, you know, I know we're in America, and the number is smaller with the difference between men and women, but still in some places there's a big difference. And there's a lot more women, and we're waiting for someone to choose us. And we want the men who have these qualifications to choose us, and that may not be the largest amount of men, on top of them not being so many. And then we want someone to choose us, and then we're always like battling each other. One of the things I always say is like, women, there's so many women in the homes and things like that you can easily go to another woman and get information and get skills and all that. Men don't have that access, or they don't use that access. And so when we're out here getting all these things, when men look at us to date, they're like, oh, well, she basically has the same kind of skills. She does too. So let's try this one. Women aren't like that. Women are going to be like, well, this, you know, 100 men have the things that I'm looking for, and we're going to have to, hopefully they choose me to be the one for them. And so it's a battle with monogamy. It really is a battle, and consistently trying to battle with others. And poly, I'm not battling with you, because whatever you saw in me, you value, that's what you value, and you want that from me. And if you find something else, someone else, you can value that and be with that person also. It doesn't always have to be us battling with each other to prove who's better. So I really like that. So I never really had a big issue with the transition either.
Wow. See, I can relate to that, because when I am dating somebody or in a relationship, the first little like chink in the armor, I'm like, whatever. Now I don't want to deal with you anymore. What's that guy over there talking about? You know, and you're right. It is a battle. And women, I think a lot of women, some not all, I think a lot of women see it that way, because women, if you notice, men don't do this, but women, when they get married and they have a ring, it's like now they have some sort of, it's like being knighted or something. It's like, look, I'm married, I have a ring. And then that becomes part of their identity. Men don't do that. Men don't run around telling other men, I got a ring, I'm married. Who married you? Like, men don't do that. Women do that. So it proves what you're saying, that women are kind of like, I need to be chosen, because it'll mean something if I'm
validated.
chosen. Yeah.
Validated all this work you put into yourself. I mean, I'm not against cosmetic beauty or anything, but anything you put into yourself, you're building yourself up, because that's what we were taught. You're raised from child up that you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to be chosen. So whatever you're doing up to this point, you're supposed to be chosen by someone who thinks you're worthy enough. And you have to be better than anyone else. And even though we mostly all have the same skills, women mostly have the same skills, maybe a little different in some things, but you know, the basics, you know, we both mostly have the basic same skills. So I think it's easier for men to try, I don't want to say try out, but you know, try a woman out, and then if you don't feel like that's a good fit, you know, someone else probably has the same basic skills. And then if you want to upgrade, you know, hey, she's got these skills that are, you know, a little additional skills to the basics. And so I think it's a little different for men and women to date. So it's interesting.
I really do. It is interesting. And I really do think it's a lot to think about. It's food for thought, because there are a lot of people right now in relationships and in marriages who are not happy, and they're wondering what that thing is. They're wondering what that nagging thing is. And 9 times out of 10, it's probably you're not built to be in a relationship. You just think you are, because where you fall on the map, tradition, religion, et cetera, et cetera. And I always tell adults, you're older now, you're free from your parents', you know what I mean, eagle eye. You really have to have a conversation with yourself and ask yourself, what is it? Why do you keep making these same mistakes? Why don't you just be poly or whatever it is, right? Mark, you've been quiet. What's going on in there in that head? I smell the wind. I smell
I'm just sitting here, and I'm finding it interesting now that a female has joined the chat, that where the space she's coming from is that emotional connection, and that you know, men are very visual, we all know that, and women are more into the social dynamics and what have you. You know, they like to read the novels with Fabio on the cover and get all wrapped up in the story of a relationship, you know. And whereas men, we just go to our websites on the computer, but and we don't need much story.
Some, not all.
Yeah, some, not all. Where's our little thing? And I was just wondering, how do you navigate, because I think men can understand the physical part. You know, we can go to the swinger club or whatever, do threesomes and what have you, and we understand that, you know, and we don't find that so threatening. We can go do the physical and go home, our minds clear pretty much. Whereas if we see our woman start having an emotional connection and vibing with someone on that level, that becomes threatening and makes a lot of men uneasy. And I was just wondering, with your situation, does that ever come up? Do any of your men start asking you, like, oh, you connecting with him more, you know, you feeling him more? And then how do you navigate that?
Oh man, yeah, they do all the time.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
I think the reason why, and I will say all the time, because I date monogamous. If they were not monogamous, I've dated non-monogamous people too, and it's a lot of different stories. It's a whole nother story. It's a lot more. Oh, go out there, have a good time. I hope you enjoy your date. Not on the other end. On the other end, the transition that I'm with my partners, it comes up, and in the process of transitioning into this world that I am in, it's a struggle. It really is a struggle for them. I can see them struggle, and I think that women kind of take for granted that men actually have real feelings, because, like you said, it's like a lot of times we just think, okay, all they want is sex, and it's all, and to some extent, yeah. Some extent, yeah, some of us want to have a good time, go out here, have a physical moment. And that's not, that's not like women don't have that too, but we just don't really discuss it as much with other men. But if you want to be honest, I mean, men have a lot of emotional, things going on, especially, I mean, I say Black males have a lot of stuff going on additional to anyone else. And so I think for the men that I'm dating, for them, they not only have to go up against the family and people outside looking at this like this is ridiculous, but also being able to know that, like, what I'm saying is what I'm saying. I'm enjoying being with you. And one of the things, like you were saying, I think that a lot of men are so used to being needed, they don't understand what it's like to be wanted. we always say you need a man. And I don't mean like women say, oh, I don't need a man for this and that. That's not what I'm talking about. You say, you know, I like a husband or whatever for, you know, stability. They're going to be helpful. They're going to be your partner. And men actually feel good when a woman needs them to do stuff. They like that feeling. It's good. It makes them feel valuable. But for them, trying to get them in the mindset that I love that you can help me with those things, but I want you here. I don't need you here, but I want you here because I want you to be part of my journey in my life. I don't need you to do it so I can survive, so I can continue to do things. Because if anything happens, you know, we always say, you know, beauty's not forever, money's not forever. If anything goes wrong, then you no longer have a value to me. And I don't want to give that out to anyone, the message to any of my partners, that you're only valued because you can give me something. Right. I want them to know that they are here because I want them here, even through the bad times. If it's bad, we'll figure it out. And I want you on that journey with me. And I think that transition is more stressful for them. My partners actually today, we were talking about that, being together for a while. And he's like, well, I feel like, because I do date. So when I say I'm going to date, it's a little stressful for everyone because they're like, well, like, what are we doing wrong that's making you want to go date? And it's like, it's nothing you're doing. You're not doing anything wrong.
And I think men, we feel like we should be our woman's mountain, you know, the one and only mountain. We solve whatever problems come up, whatever you need to cry on a shoulder, I'm going to be the shoulder. You want to vent about your day. You want to explore, was the moon landing real or not? Whatever it is, you know, I'm your guy, I'm your man. And it's a little demasculating if I get in my head and think, why do you need an emotional connection or a different connection with this other dude, you know? And because I should be the one all be all, you know, and be your Superman, you know. Why you eyeballing Batman, you know? so you know, I mean, it makes sense, you know. Why wouldn't you want to go see Aquaman? I mean, you know, or Batman, you know. And they have different things to offer, you know. But I think that's very, you know, men are, we're prideful, and we want to be the one and only, I think, a lot in that emotional sense. Whereas like we can understand, like in our mind, I think we say, look, it ain't got not a thing to do with love, but this month I don't know, I saw this redhead at the, you know, store, and now I just got this redhead thing in my head, you know, and I just want to go get that out of my system, and then don't think I'm falling in love or head over heels. Whereas with like your situation, you say like you actually have love and emotional investment in other people, and that's just that's like a whole nother world from just the knocking boots. But I think that's very common with women. And even if they want to get into the physical part, there has to be like the key thing. I can see where that would look a little grimy, you know, because it's like you're just for a woman. Now for a man, it's probably, you know, it's fine and dandy for most men. But from a woman's perspective, it's like, look, he hasn't earned me to open up and receive him. I just pulled his keys out of fishbowl, you know? So I feel like even with the sexual side of things, a woman needs time, say at a swingers event or something, where they build a little rapport and they get a vibe and somewhat emotionally invested, so that they can open up and receive him physically. And I think that gets a little complicated from the man's side of the view, because it's just not how our brain works. Our brain works like, she got wide hips, you know? And so I mean, that's about the extent of it. She don't have to open her mouth, except for, you know, but anyway. Yeah, just, you know, setting your partners at ease with that and making them feel secure that they're like, okay, I'm not going to lose no sleep tonight, you know? just navigating that, I can see where that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
Miss Polly, what you said that you date monogamous men, so that means that they believe in just a one-on-one relationship, right?
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah. I mean, I don't hide. They still come, but I let them know,
Okay. So how do they handle that? Men are very egotistical. Men are very egotistical. Like,
it's a conversation, really. I mean, first, the idea is a lot for some people. So a lot of times people think, oh, I hear poly, I'm poly, and then they assume that I'm just gonna let us have a three-way. And I'm like, I don't think you want to have a three-way with the other partners I have, And so, I try to clear that up most of the time. I have been poly, and I've had one partner, and we just look like we're monogamous, and we're not. So I mean, I've had cycles where it's not always me and another male partner, but definitely just telling them, hey, this is what it is. This is what I'm doing. If we are the bond and we have a real good connection, like I'm looking for, okay, right now, I am looking for longer term partners. I'm not necessarily short term. So, if you're looking for someone to talk to for just a year, probably not. And there's a couple reasons because of that. Now that my partners have been invested so long, they wouldn't want me to date anyone who's just in it for short term. And like you said, it's more of a protection thing too. I think as a woman, having them with me has really made me think about some of the choices that I was making. Not that they were bad, but just being cautious. To like, I'm a guy. Like I know, maybe he just wants to talk to you for a little bit. Like how do and so we have boundaries and things like that we've set up so that everyone feels really comfortable about what we're doing and being safe and all those things. So we've made those rules over time to accommodate different situations. But yeah, I just usually tell them what's going on and see if they would like to try. And I always say, if you're interested in dating me, get to know me. Because some people they're like, I just want to date you. And I'm like, you don't know me enough to say that. I need you to take some time. So we, let's go on a date. And then what I call it is I'm dating. And then there's a separate part where it's like, you're going to be part of the pod, because what we call a pod. So like, you're going to be part of the pod. That's a separate conversation. You can date me. We can see how things are going. And then there'll come a time, usually the guys will chime in and he's like, oh, what's going on? Are they in it or not? And then that's what and then we'll have another discussion about if they're going to be added to the pod. That's different. So there's a process that we have made that's really nice. So everyone feels good and safe in those moments that change.
Did you ever as you were on your journey to this, I don't know that this is your final destination, but maybe you'll do other things in the future, but on your journey navigating all of this, did you try different aspects of the ethical non-monogamy lifestyle that you just weren't comfortable with, and you came back, and did you root off it all, like, as you were traveling down this river?
Yeah. So the partner I was with for quite a long time, like I said, he was more into the lifestyle, where he just kind of like he would be okay with wife swapping and all those things.
Okay.
Right. And I thought about it. I will say I didn't. I was like, okay, I'm open to, hey, let's do. We can get crazy. Let's do something crazy. And I just realized, like, that's not, like, I don't want to just do something with someone and never see them again. That wasn't enough.
You're very into the emotional connection part, bonding,
right. And what's so horrible about it is I can actually separate the two. I think when I was younger, I only had one night stand ever. And I was like, so this was it? Like, this is all it is, just to see if it was good, and then he goes and I never see him. Like, this is stupid. Like, what if I liked you? Or what if I thought you were interesting? Like, that was a waste of time. I feel like if it's just that, I don't want to do it. But I'm not against a sexual experience, trying something new. I'm not against it. I'm open to it. I never even had a three-way until like probably like 2 years ago, a year ago, and when we had that was a great experience. I had two of them, and it was a great experience. But we all knew what was going on and consenting and all that stuff, so that was great. And they were with women, you know what I'm saying? So that was good.
Mm.
We couldn't hear you. Oh, sorry, it's okay.
Was it with 2 men or 2 women?
Yeah, so individually, well, I met someone. Well, I didn't meet them. One of my partners met someone. We were just by ourselves. He was interested in possibly trying to do poly the other way, where we were going to be polygamist. And so he ended up talking to a lady. And I was like, oh, he's going to be in a relationship with her. She's wonderful. She's so nice. And he ended up saying, you know, he maybe didn't want to pursue it any longer. He told us that. But we had 3 with her. And my other partner, she got to know him, and then it happened again. So it was separate but the same way. So, yeah.
You feel like Haran? I know Haran. Are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you've delved into this lifestyle too, right?
No, I didn't delve in it. I'm actually in it.
Oh, okay, good. So you can answer this. Do
Okay.
you feel? Some people in the chat may be like, but do you guys feel like you have a higher understanding of human psychology and sexuality? Do you feel you have a higher understanding of people that is like, no, monogamy is how we're meant to be?
Yes, I do. Because most people really don't understand where monogamy actually comes from. And it's very ironic because we always have these back and forth conversations about the stain of the patriarchy and so on and so forth. But actually, monogamy is an extension of the patriarchal system. This was enforced by men. And that is the irony of it. So now the goal of the system was practical. You know what I mean? It was for the betterment of the species. I mean, you know, as a system, is polyamory and polygamy practical per se? I would contend not necessarily. Polygamy, not necessarily if you're in a particular financial state. If you're rich, you know what I mean, then yeah, okay. But if you're not, or an average person, polygamy will be to your detriment. You hear what I mean? So yeah, you know, you can do the research on this. You can argue with me about it, but you can do your research on it. You know, we didn't just pop into this world and, you know what I mean, and we're automatically monogamous. Actually, it was really about the monogamy was really about the average guy basically having the opportunity to procreate. Because without the system, you know what I mean, the average woman went after the most successful and dominant man. You know what I mean? One would actually contend that at the end of the day, if you leave women alone with a bunch of men in the room and naked men in the room, they'll most likely go for the biggest dick. To put it in a very crass and base scenario. You know what I mean? And the biggest.
I would not. Those are not fun for the record.
You know what I mean? But
they're really.
Ironically, you're speaking from some regard of experience.
Yes.
You know, so. But anyway,
wow.
I don't wish to be crass, ladies. But you understand what I'm saying.
We do.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so the average male saw this and said, hey, what about us? You know, I don't have what this guy has, so we need to create a system, you know what I mean, to make sure that everybody gets theirs, you know what I mean? And, you know, so, you know.
So is that really how monogamy started? Like, is there historical reference?
I mean, it's much more complex than that, but you know me, I'll get to really breaking this down, and the next thing you know, I'm just talking for like forever. So I'm just really trying to compact this and throw a little humor in there at the same time. But you can look this up. Feel free to look this up. But yes, this was a system that was created. You know, to piggyback off of
what was just being said, you know, in the situation with, you know, I mean, my two girlfriends, you know, I mean, I have to deal with, you know, I mean, jealousy. I have to deal with certain things. I have to deal with, and I can imagine that, you know, with dealing with men, that can be something that's an issue. You know what I mean, ma'am? I can imagine that. I mean, I'm not, you know, I mean, comparing the situation, but for a guy, you know what I mean, dealing with two women who might be mad at you at the same time, it's a very, very grueling space to be in. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean, you kind of have to dance with the situation. You have to make sure egos aren't bruised. You have to make sure that at the end of the day, everyone's human. You know, I mean, even while you exist in that system, everyone still wants to feel special.
So they're not accepting of your lifestyle then.
No, they are accepting of my lifestyle. But what I'm saying is that they have moments where, you know, they do get selfish. Like people think that just because someone is polyamorous, they don't you know, experience things like jealousy and so on and so forth. No, you can still experience that. As a matter of fact, there's a particular term used for when you are happy for your partner.
Yeah.
You know, it's called compersion. You know what I mean? Which is basically the feeling that you feel when you're happy that your partner is receiving what they were looking for outside of your particular dynamic. But I say all this to say that no, they are fine with it. You know, everyone is happy with it, but there's still challenges. There's still challenges, as opposed to if I just go to a swingers club, then that's literally it's more of a transactional situation. You know what I mean? It's more of a like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, here's my $120. Hey, how's it shaking? Literally. So, you know what I mean?
$125.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. 125. Here's my $125. What's shaking? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I got enough for everybody. I got all my gas station pills. What's good? You know what I mean? And, you know, it is what it is. But outside of that world, when you're actually in a relationship with more than one person, you really have to, it does take a degree of emotional intelligence in order to balance that. And I don't think that's for everyone. I really don't think that's for everyone, man or woman, because it can become very taxing. I'll be honest with you. There's certain times I see both of them on my phone and I just don't pick it up. I'm just like, nah, after a long day of work, I'm not, no. I'll text them both. You know what I mean? I love you, and we will speak tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Miss Polly, do you feel that you have a higher understanding of sexuality and psychology when it comes to human beings choosing this lifestyle? Because I think it takes a lot of wherewithal, for lack of a more educated word. I think it takes a lot of understanding and psychology and understanding of, you know, human nature. Do you feel like you're above the average person who's just like, no, it's monogamy for life?
Yeah, I do think that emotionally more intelligent. But I do think that in that intelligence we can share it and it can be maybe understood by others a little bit. And then like he said, like since he's more like a polygamist, our challenges with us are different than someone who's polyamorous because their dynamic is more like everyone's focused on you when you're in a V. It's basically like you're the reason they're together. And so sometimes even like trying to transition that is a little difficult, even if they're not, you know, with each other, the two women, if they weren't with each other, the two males, they're not with each other. It's a little bit challenging because you're managing. Like someone asked me, they say, well, how do you feel about it? I said, I actually feel like I'm responsible for their emotional well-being. That's my job. I feel like I am responsible to make sure that they're okay because they're really relying on me and for a lot of things, and not just in a bad way. It can feel nice for someone to really, you know, care about you and give that back. But yeah, they're relying on me to be transparent and all these other things. So it's interesting. It's an interesting feeling, but you know, I don't think I'd be any different any other day. I think I do enjoy it. And if it transitions, like I've considered being a quad a couple times. Like you said, the challenges of me being, you know, with two males, it's very interesting because I do take away some things because just relationship wise, like I said, life coach, I kind of try to work on men feeling more value than just like money and things. So like I take away money out the equation a lot of times. I do all that so that we just focus on our emotional well-being. So like sometimes you want to be like, listen, dude, like there's another lady around here somewhere. So somebody make us a quad. Make us a quad so I don't have to do all this stressfulness by myself. But it's okay.
That is I mean, but it sounds like a powerful position to have.
But think about with power comes great responsibility. Literally, like I have someone's heart in my hand.
Jen, you really looking like this is sounding just as much as she's talking. You really sounding like you considering your head is.
I'm way.
Her head is leaning to the side. You're like, that sounds like a very powerful position to have.
I'm way past that. I admire people who do it. I salute them. I'm not. I mean, it's not for me only because I know me. I'm way too possessive. My ego is huge. My pride is. I'm too much. And you have to start with knowing yourself.
Yeah,
and
that is absolutely right. That is absolutely right.
I salute it because I think it makes the most sense for human beings, hands down. I think to me it makes more sense than monogamy, hands down. Okay, that is, I will die on that hill. That is my true blue feelings. I'm just not. Maybe I'm not is on a high level like you guys are. I cannot do it. I start thinking of stabbing people. I'm like, why is she? I can't even deal with that. Girlfriends calling. I'm a whole different animal. You have to know your limits. It is very important. You know your limits. So I'm like,
well, I will say you're right. The limit is funny because so my limit's really high. I'm not gonna lie. I have a high limit, and I don't mean so like 5 is the limit for me. I can do 5. I've tried to push the limits before, and that was bad. Bad. But 5 is the limit for me. I'm not trying to get to 5, but if I got to 5, I'd be fine. But yeah, like you need to. Even in poly, you got to know like where your lines are. I've met a woman who was dealing with 9 people, and I was just like, what's happening to you?
Holy crap!
Yeah, but
I don't even deal with 9 relatives. I don't even deal with 9 relatives. I'm like, don't call me, don't bother me. Super chat, Brian. Thank you so much, Jabari Bryant, for this super chat. He says, I feel like being in a successful monogamous relationship requires the same level of maturity.
I'll give you a particular scenario that's also challenging. Okay, say if I have a bad day with one of them and I am totally pissed. But I have to find a way to suppress that and pack that and put that to the side if I'm not to basically allow those feelings to spill with the other woman, because it's not her fault that I might be going through something with someone else or the other. It's kind of like, you gotta figure out ways of not letting a particular situation affect something else. You know what I mean? It's so you have to really be in a space to understand how to exist in different spaces and learning how to shut off different areas of yourself when you're no longer in that space. It can be very challenging. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that everyone is built for that. Now this pertains to if you actually decide to be in a relationship with more than one person. Now you could be you can be solo poly and just you do your thing, with just one person, that person, and if you're having a problem with one person or whatever, it doesn't really necessarily affect you. You just keep it pushing. But when you're actually in a actual dynamic, you just have to really be careful.
I can't picture like I'm laying down on the couch on his lap and he's playing with my hair, and then the other one calls him and he's giggling at what she just texted him. I can't. I turn this whole thing over. You would lose it.
Oh,
Say I'm flipping the table over.
With him on it. With him on it. You thought you
Right. I'm like, no. But it makes sense to me. And I was gonna say a little selfish. I'm gonna be honest. I'm selfish. Let's just put it all on the table here because I put it all on the table. I'm selfish, and I'm like, I want to have those thoughts. I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but you guys know I'm an asshole. I want to have those thoughts. I'd like to have those adventures, but I don't want him to, I know Heffa's like, you can't possess me. I'm like, no, it's mine. That's that. But
a lot of people feel the same way you do. That's not, I get it.
I'm bad, right? I'm bad.
No, a lot of people feel the same way. I get it.
I'm horrible. It's okay.
That's funny. Like you said, like that literally like just happened. Like, so like I said, I've been with them. They've known about each other for a long time. We've been like slowly been trying to congregate them to interact more. Because I just feel like the more interaction now that we've been with each other for so long, it needs to take place, more interaction, so that they can kind of feel for each other. I know that sounds weird. Like if I'm with one partner and men are a little bit more cutthroat. So like if something's going over here, they may be like, well, I really don't care because I got other stuff I want to do. And like, so I have to, if you understand what else someone else is going through, it may be easier. And so we had a moment where we're in the same area together and we were watching a show and I hadn't seen him in a while. And I was like, really like, he was messing with me and giggling with me. And the partner was like, well, what's going on? Like, I feel left out. And I was like, I'm sorry. That was my fault on me. That's on me. I was in the moment and, it can be challenging, but, we worked on it. We talked about it. Just like, okay. So apparently maybe that kind of situation we're not ready for yet. So but it was nice, but it was nice, but it was a lot. That took a long time to get there. So, I think it made it better.
I'm like, Kiki. I'd be like, she did. Like, I wouldn't even, I'd make it hell for him. I would make it hell for him. So I'm not doing it.
What stands out though is no matter how many women you ask, and some men too, what it is about monogamy that stands out to them, I feel like 80% of people are going to say I'm too selfish. So it's not that you want to be with one person, it's that you can't handle them being with somebody else.
Exactly.
And majority of people are like that. They're like, and that's how the cheating comes into play. It's like you're trying to coax yourself into doing something that you're really not about. And you're gonna try hard, you go give it your all, but at the end of the day, you go fall short because it's not real.
To piggyback off.
Right. That's why I'm loving the single life. I'm listen, nobody gets hurt like this, and I can do what I want, and hey.
No harm.
What Hef was saying, he's right. I think that by the example that I gave before, those two people who constantly cheated on each other, they will continue to cheat on each other. Because to say like, oh yeah, let's have an open situation or let's do something official would be to contend to the idea and surrender to the idea that yes, I've given the green light for this person to go out there and do exactly what I'm doing right now. And a lot of people can't handle that.
Correct. I know.
You said
is there a poly? Help me out, poly friends. Is there such thing as a poly situation where it's like I get to try out different guys and none of them ever sleep with any women for the rest of their life?
It's called monopoly.
Yeah.
Wait, I was only kidding.
No, there is. No, there is.
It's monopoly.
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay. Now you got my attention. Now I'm a poly.
Oh, see, like I said, well, the deeper it gets, huh?
People, and they'll never be with anyone else but me. That's a deal. Now
you gotta find that unicorn that'll sign up for that.
Right. I mean,
especially looking for a man to sign up for it.
Well, Jen, I'll give you a little caveat though.
I'll
give you a little caveat though, Jen. You could find that, but the guys that you most likely find probably won't even have any options. So yeah, they'll sign up for a girl like you.
They'll look like the penguin.
Yeah, exactly.
Never mind. Now
not
back
that
to the
one.
drawing board.
There's always a catch. There's always a catch.
Well, Jen, you remember what I said would make monogamy stand out to me, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I remember.
So in that sense, if you find a man that's so submerged in his endeavors outside of sexual exploits, and he needs a beautiful woman that can bide his time when he has time for that, he's probably not going to be tripping about what you do when he's not around, because he's busy. He has stuff going on. He's building this empire. He's trying to get his third business off the ground. He's busy traveling the world, whatever the scenario may be. Those are the type of situations that allow for that to make sense to somebody.
I had that guy in my early 30s. I threw him away.
Damn, I had him already.
Really?
I did. He was like that. He was always doing overtime, always working. But he was like, look, I'll never spend money on any other woman but you. So if I go on vacation, I want you to come with me. If I'm going to dinner, I want you to come with me. Back then, I was like young, and I was like, nah, I want my commit. I'm gonna have to send him the "Hey Big Head" text, even though it's like 30 years later.
I think one of my partners is like that right now. Like both of them. They're kind of just not moving. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. I just, whatever you want to do, it's on you. I think they're just kind of like going through the process of what we're doing. So there's like there's too much emotional stuff happening right now. I can't fathom talking to anyone else right now. So I think that's what it is. But yeah, I mean, I see girls hit on them all the time. I like it, but they don't really indulge in it. So I just kind of listen. I no longer, since that three-way that I thought that we were going to have a whole girlfriend, I no longer am. No, I won't. I'm not even going to do it, because to me, it just was an experience they wanted to have with me. And then there was no more. And I was like, well, shoot, that was not what I wanted it to be.
This is a big question that comes up a lot. I don't see how dudes can juggle all those different female personalities. Guys complain about their one wife and their one girlfriend. How do you guys juggle women, their hormones, the attitudes, the mood swings? Is it because you're not concentrating on any one in particular and she's not under your roof? Does that make it easier?
You got to be a jack of all trades. You got to have your tools and your skill set together. One thing that I focus on more than anything is that emotional maturity. We won't have anything or go anywhere without it. You have to be able to compartmentalize your emotions. You have to be rational. You have to have the decency to understand being upset doesn't mean you have the right to get violent or start belittling somebody, or you want to have your psychosis in check. And what's happening with the majority of people out here, they haven't dealt with that man or woman in the mirror and then try and go dump that load into somebody else's lap. And they're like, you can't sort out my shit. Like, wait, I didn't sign up to be a lifelong therapist. You know what I'm saying? You don't mind someone being able to lean on you when it makes sense, but at a certain point in time, you have to know when to step back from the dating scene and figure out yourself. There's someone that's around me right now who can't stand being alone. And I'm like, well, you can tell that I don't want to be with you all the time because you don't even want to be with you all the time. So like, make it make sense. So like, those are the type of issues that are going on in everyday relationships. And that's why a lot of women feel like they can't find a good man, or a lot of men feel like they can't find a good woman. You've given your chances and you've given your all to a bad deal, and you didn't vet them properly, and you didn't have enough experience or enough going on in your life to make those relationships make sense. And then you try to attack it like Peter Griffin on Family Guy. One day he forgot how to sit down, and so he just walked up to the couch and he just flung himself at the couch. Like, you got to have your stuff in order. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go into these relationships blind, thinking, well, I'm a nice person, she seems like a nice person, let's spend the rest of our lives together. It don't really work that well, you know. We introduce people to our spokesperson. They meet our representative. They don't meet us. And then once their honeymoon phase ends, it's like, roll over. I'm hot. You all on my arm, and my arm's getting numb. And you know, she needs to cuddle the whole night. And now you're in deep water, because now she feels ugly or unattractive, or you know, this guy is serious about a traditional woman. I got a girlfriend like this. She fought and fought and fought for the traditional man. And I brought up to her one day, like, but you're not a traditional woman though. So how are you going to make this work? What do you mean? I'm beautiful. Yeah, but he can't eat beauty when he comes home from work. That long day of work, you know, you don't want to cook every day. Do you even know how to cook? I've never seen you boil water. If you did, I think you messed it up. She settled down with him. His family owned a slew of salons, and the mom was like, you got to get rid of her. You do not give this woman a baby. You can't keep her around. Like, all she knows how to do is be pretty. She's not invested in herself financially. She's not trying to learn a trade. Whatever she does, she doesn't stick with it. And she was confused at why he got rid of her. And it's like, you didn't have nothing to offer the man except being pretty. And he's going to get tired of pretty. Matter of fact, he did get tired of pretty. So like that's what's happening out here.
What about juggling time? Do you know, when you have these multiple partners, and you know, you've got a nice evening of dinner and wine, and you know, got the fireplace going, whatever you got going on, and yet your phone blowing up, and these people texting you or everybody wants the Friday night. You know, how do you navigate time? Do you have like a safe word that you use? Like, you text everybody, you know, Oklahoma, and they know, hey, I'm off limits.
Not tonight.
yeah, right. So how do you navigate time management?
That's a good question.
I mean,
I
don't have a schedule.
The first thing you're going to learn about me is that I enjoy my alone time a lot. So whether you think I'm home alone or I'm spending time with the next person, you know, that's my business. Like, when I isolate myself, that's what it is. If you were to call me and you're in need, something happened to you, you want to talk, I'd expect my partner that I'm with to, you know, allow me to give you time to vent to me or whatever is going on. But it always will go back to that maturity thing. And you also have the ability to date outside of me. That's why I'm so big on polyamory, is because it's equal. I don't want any rights that you can't have. I'm not saying that there's something that I can do that you're not allowed to do on any level, you know. So if I tell you I'm busy Friday, maybe you got to secure another date for Friday, you know.
Right. Yeah. Don't put all your eggs in my basket. In other words,
right.
Yeah. I guess I didn't think about that aspect of it. You know, yeah. It's like, look, if you ain't doing you, that's on you. You know, because you know, I ain't always going to be available. You know.
And I think that's any man that has a life, you know, whether he's invested in his career or whatever it is. You know, there's a lot of men out here divorced because they want to spend too much time with their kids, or they spend too much time at work, or whatever the case may be, and the significant other wasn't willing to understand that. Right. So it works on all levels.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Ms. Polly, what's your take?
So I've worked a lot without a schedule. But I also, like he said, a particular partner. You need to know yourself and what you're looking for, what you can give and what you can give, what you want and what you need. And one of the things I know that I don't really want is someone who's very clingy. Like he said, you know, I may have things to do. I like to go do things just randomly sometimes. So someone who has to be next to me all the time, it can be a challenge. I have a partner who's a little, I wouldn't say he's clingy, but he does like to be around me a lot. And we're trying to figure that out a little bit more because I'm just like, I just want to run around. I don't know where I'm going. And he's like, well, tell me where you're going. Like, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just want to go to Starbucks and then sit in the parking lot for 2 hours. I don't know. Think about life. But for me, I haven't had really a schedule. But I think one big thing that helps is when you find someone that you maybe want to, you've decided to maybe start having more time with, incorporate them in your daily life. We have video phones. I mean, like if I go to the store, you can talk to me on the phone while I'm in the store. It doesn't bother me. Chat with me while I'm doing something productive. That helps me think. Things like that, I don't mind. So I incorporate you in my daily life. If I'm going to go somewhere, you can come with me or you can meet me there. And that kind of helps. So then I'm actually being productive in my life and you're just being part of that production. I don't have to stop what I'm doing so we can watch a movie. Like I have to go do something else, but you can come with me. Things like that. So, but the other partners, if someone calls, I answer the phone. I mean, are we gonna die because someone called me? I don't think so.
Even if y'all, I got the music playing, you on the bearskin rug, the fireplace crackling, the hot tub, things about the
fireplace crackling.
Y'all need a fish bowl.
I used to in the beginning of the transition. Yeah. And in the transition, we had a thing where like, if you think you may like be getting romantic and you don't want to be interrupted, can you please just like, text me real quick. Hey, someone's, this person's over and we're chilling or something. I used to be like that. But I just had to do that real quick, but not really. They had different schedules. It wasn't anything I had to really worry about.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. I'm off the list again. I'm just piling up now. Can't be clingy.
Jen, you just
Find somebody who wants somebody to sit next to them all day. That's what you need to find that guy.
See, he always plays around me. He's like, we waiting for you to come home, right? And then a week after him and I would get intimate, I'd be blowing up his phone. What the fuck? Why ain't you calling me back? See, it's cute. Jen is real cute on the surface. It's real exciting. But a week later, when I'm like, I called you 3 times. What is your problem?
You got the malevolent horns on.
Right.
You got to know who you're dealing with. Wait, Ms. Jen, are you a Leo by chance?
I am a Capricorn. Even worse.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait. No Leo slander, please. No Leo
I did.
Slander,
I like Leos. I like Leos, but they need a little extra love. They need extra love. That's all.
Do you want to respond to Juana G's comment, Hef? I love Hef, but he make it sound like poly is the answer to unhappy monogamy relationships, and it's not, though.
Well, Juana always hears one part of what I say and then stop listening. I said that.
Juana, do you hear that?
Emotional maturity is what is most important. I said a lot of people are in those unhappy monogamous relationships because they're not ready for a relationship, period. So the same goes for someone in a poly relationship. You're going to have to be that much more mentally adept. You can't, you got to have some wheels turning up here. You got to be a thinker.
Yeah, and I know she says, and I agree with Tawana G in this part. She's like 50% of marriages fail, but that means 50% succeed. I think it's even less than that. I think a lot of people stay married for a lot of reasons that have nothing to do with I want to be with that person. There are people who like can't get divorced because of finances. There are people that are staying together to raise the children. There are people staying together because of religion. So I think even in that successful 50%, there's a lot going on there. I'm Latin. There are a lot of Latin couples in my family that it's like this one done moved on with a new wife and 3 kids, and this one but they still got that paperwork. So it's like we can't really say that just because it's 50% that aren't on paper divorcing that those 50% are happy. Like humans are very dynamic people. So I don't think 50% means 50% of marriages succeed. I just think that means that the paperwork was not filed. With that said, yes, I think that people do get married and live happily ever after forever, just them two. I just think it's rare. I think
nature tricks us. I think nature tricks us. I think nature tricks us just long enough in order for us to stand each other so that we procreate. Because right after we have the orgasms and we whatever we do and we pop out the kids, we look at each other and we like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then there's I don't really like this girl. I don't really like that guy. And then, you know what I mean, we go out there and we continue to cycle. Because, I mean, if you really want to, you really look at it, you know, a lot of our past relationships, a lot of us look at some of these old relationships that we had and we wonder, how did I ever get involved with that person? Yes. Yeah, because you were high off all kinds of chemicals shooting off in your brain that needed to happen in order for you to lay on your back, in order for you to do what needed to be done. Nature is very tricky that way. If you were smart all of the time, there'd be like 10 of us on this planet. We would have died eons ago. You know?
I think when you're young, you don't know what you can live with and gotta live without. You know, you got to kiss I feel like you got to kiss a lot of frogs, and you got to make a checklist in the process of like, I cannot deal with this ever again. And that person, whatever aspect you loved about them, you put that on the checklist. Like, I'd really like to find this. And you start narrowing it down until you find somebody that's as close to perfect as you're going to find, you know, but you got to kiss a lot of frogs in the process. Like I say, when you're young, you're just gonna make them mistakes, and unless you're really, really bound by religion or something, those relationships are gonna dissolve, and you're gonna grow out of them and move on. And like I say, make that checklist so that the next time when you see that red flag, you're like, okay, no. You know?
Jen, can I ask you a question?
I'm not saying that, E-Black. I'm not saying. I swear I'm not saying that, because I do believe in love forever with two people. I just think it's very rare. It's as rare as unicorns. I do not think it's as popular as humans would like to make you believe. But I do believe it. I love the movie Legend. It was 2 unicorns. I believe in that love. I really, really do. But I don't believe it's as common as these humans would make you believe. I don't believe it. It's too easy for people in a quote unquote monogamous relationship to want to hit something else, smash, have sex with. It's too easy to find something else attractive, and it's too easy to cheat. It's too easy for human beings to convince me, okay, that all these people are monogamous. I think it's crap. I think it's bull. Do those 2 unicorns exist? Yes. Do those wonderful marriages exist? Yes. I just think very far and few in between. You take out religion, you take out what my mama gonna think, you take out what my daddy gonna think, you take out we gotta pay these bills, you take out we gotta raise these kids. Most people would not be in their marriages. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
Good. No, I was saying, you know, to me, I've been married and I've been divorced, but even then, huh?
No, I'm sorry. I was saying hi. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, even then, I think that really for me, like, what does the paper really mean? I mean, I believe in having a ceremony possibly to show the people around me that I've committed to someone and going to be committed to them for, you know, an extended period of time. But to me, it's just a paper that basically breaks my marriage down into financial gains and losses, and that's what it really represents to me. I don't think it represents anything else, because without the paper, people have been married before that. So basically, it's just really about, you know, well, what happens if you guys separate? Well, who gets what and what goes where? And if it wasn't that, what's the paper good for? Nothing. It doesn't say I'm going to stay with you forever even. So, I mean, I really don't believe in paper marriage, because I think there's really nothing there but a lot of damage that can happen. Because after you've had this long experience with someone, let's say, and then when you go through a divorce, it just brings up stuff that happened and memories that you maybe lost, or you know, things that you might have felt, and well, why don't you feel that way anymore? I think it's really like mentally messes you up if you think about it, you know. And going through the process of divorce, it's just really really hard for people. A lot of people struggle with that. And then after you even get divorced, you still have to deal with the financial and life-changing things that come with it. You have to split everything. Your life's no longer the same. You split your children. They're seen as assets. You know, all these things that take place. It's not anything that's going to help me with this paper, other than maybe, you know, insurance or something like that. But nowadays you can do it without.
It's all about the insurance.
I just think it's a lot of symbolism. I think it's a lot of symbolism. I think it's tradition. I think it's like Christmas and New Year's and sweet 16s and graduations. It's something that humans do. It's a party. It's a time to celebrate. It's like, I love you. I love you too. I want to have sex with you forever. Let's throw a party about it. That's how I feel. That's how I see it. The majority of the time. The majority.
So can you age out? Can you age out of the, because with age comes, you know, much of a jaded heart, a jaded spirit at times, a lot of times. Can you age out of marriage? Can you age out of quote unquote forever?
I've often thought there should be marriages with time limits, you know, kind of like
the marriage license expires.
4-year marriage.
Need a renewal.
You're literally leasing. You're literally leasing the stuff.
I mean, that would help a lot of people out.
You can sign up.
I think people that are single because they're jaded, or that, I think that's different. But there are people that are in marriages that are jaded.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
mean? You know what, sir? I like your perspective, and to make it even more interesting, I would contend that, you know, I mean, after let's say, you know, you have a marriage that lasts for like 3-4 years, and you have to go renew your license, you have to go through some sort of obstacle course like Survivor. If you survive it,
naked and afraid,
and then you actually, yes, you can go through the process of actually something.
Every couple should have to take a long trip together.
Yeah.
That's Mo says, am I wrong? Aren't there rules for bringing in a new partner, or can everyone have casual sex on the side? If not, some poly people cheat too. Well, yeah, we saw that with Will and Jada. We saw that with them.
I don't think they're poly. I don't think they're poly. I think they were possibly lifestylers at one time and then kept switching off and on.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, why was he mad about August if y'all are open?
What went wrong is that as a man in the position that Will is, he has all of this success and all of this money. So you feel like when you make the decision to be able to fool around, your wife isn't going to have those same type of options, let alone catch feelings. And she caught feelings, and he had caught feelings with women before, but he couldn't handle it when the shoe was on the other foot. That's when the tears start pouring, you know, it's, so you love him, you know, and he couldn't handle that part. His little
You don't think she was just doing her cougar thing?
I mean, she was doing to him what he was doing to her.
You don't think she was just doing the cougar thing like younger guy?
I think so.
Jada was having a get back moment.
August Alsina?
No, I think she was
having a get back moment. She showed him.
I think the excitement of it.
This game.
I think the excitement of it. I think that young man probably hit a certain stroke at a certain angle that brought her back.
Never heard before.
Brought her back to her 20s. She probably started thinking about Tupac.
But she did say she wanted to feel good. She hadn't felt good in a long time. She did say
and you know what? And now if a woman says that means that an angle was hit that wasn't hit in quite some time. You know what I mean? And she probably felt something from. She probably felt something based off that. Maybe there was something also. Maybe there was something also that she and Will were lacking, and the emotional end of that was barren. So she had that energy sitting there, you know what I mean, just looking to shoot somewhere, and it just went into August's direction based off proximity. You know what I mean? He was there, and so on and so forth. Maybe that was happening. Who knows? From my understanding, they were having issues for quite some time.
Right.
For quite some time.
Yeah, they're weird. In general, that whole marriage is quicksand.
Well, that's just it. Like, no one knows what really is going on, and that's okay too. But it's like when things like that happen, no one knows what's really going on, so you can only assume what you can assume. But when Mo was asking, when she said like, can you cheat? Like, yes, if you're like whatever you got with your person or your partners, and you guys have boundaries, if you go outside those boundaries, then I mean, either you're being disrespectful, and then on top of that, if you're purposely going outside of that sexually, and you're told, ask not to, I say told, ask not to do that because it made someone feel some way, and they weren't even ready for that, then I that to me is cheating, because you've already agreed upon something, and if you're violating that and just don't care, you know, that means to be like, you shouldn't be with that person. They're violating your.
I learned something today. See, this is why I love my panels. I learned something today. From now on, I'm going to ask instead of telling, because I tell people what to not do. From now on, I'm going to ask.
Ask. We got to change our vocabulary. Ask.
I'm asking you, because you see, I'm like, no, I am telling you. So now I'm like, I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask.
I bet you get a better response. I bet you get a better response if you ask.
Can I add? I'm going to ask so I don't have to stab you.
Yeah.
That's not much of an ask with the threat of violence.
You want to leave out the stab part, though. Let's leave out the stab part. Just say, let me ask you. Let me ask you something.
I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, let's just leave out the stab part.
I'm gonna ask you not to give me a reason to stab.
Make sure your gun is invisible. Make sure that is invisible and within arm's reach when you're asking this question.
Everyone knows I carry Kendall Rowland. I like this point because that's what I was talking about. He says it's mostly some American Walt Disney Cinderella Snow White fantasy happily ever after mess that America has been selling to girls all their lives and now have to be shocked into reality.
Well, so this is something that I considered a long time ago. If women didn't approach relationships telling men, hey, I have to be the only one in your life in order for you to get the box, right? You wouldn't see 9-year-old little girls come home talking about they're in love with their classmate and they're holding little Billy's hand, and you know, she's seen little Billy push somebody else on the swing, and that was her first heartbreak, you know, and we're groomed into this, right? So by the time you're 14, 15, 16, you know this chick isn't going to give you any if she knows you're sleeping with somebody else. So you start telling all women that you're dating, hey, yep, it's only you. Can I have some now? And so you get to a point to where that has trained you to feel like you are monogamous, when in actuality you've had to do what you've had to do in order to pursue the woman and obtain the woman. Something that women take for granted is that this whole world is built around you. Everything that we've acquired and obtained, it's been to make women more comfortable. If it was only men on this planet, there would be like a Corvette and a motorcycle. We'd have like 2 vehicles.
That's true.
Something to go really fast. We probably still play basketball or something like that, but the world would be very, very basic.
Listen, I've dated some guys where I'm like, you need spoons. Like I go visit the house, you need spoons to eat food, right?
You come back if I get spoons? Okay, I get spoons.
Right.
Caveman worked.
Right.
I keep women. I kill animal. I keep women. Like we're very basic. We built the whole world around making y'all happy in order to get the box.
But you have a great point. I think that women, little girls, are set up for disaster. Honestly, we're raised for disaster because we're raised on fairy tales and the white dress, and men aren't raised that way. Little boys are not raised that way. So then you got 2 adults, and one of them wants that fairy tale. They're hell bent on that fairy tale because that's all they've been told. And the boy knows that he has to tell her. He'll give her that fairy tale just to get the box. That's a great, great point. If both boys and girls were raised on that fairy tale, it'd be a different outcome. But boys are raised to conquer, get in there, get that, do this so you can get that. And women are like, I want my ring and my white dress. He's going to love me forever and ever. So it's like it's a recipe for disaster from the beginning.
But at the same time, they want that wild stallion bad boy, know, so we can't win, on one hand, we try to act like Prince Charming and we end up chasing the girl away because we're seen as needy and clingy. And we're not that.
Because you don't practice balance. Don't blame us for that. Men need to practice balance.
Yeah, that's easy, right?
I can't work in corporate America and be a drug dealer on the side. Like, you gotta choose. You gotta pick your battles. I can't be close to power.
Can you?
You're gonna be a pastor. You're gonna be a pastor in the morning and a drug cartel leader at night, man.
A porno star in bed. And you better have
balance, health, balance, man.
Balance, be corporate at your job when you come home. You know what I'm saying? It's
you gotta have
go
a
to
new slapper on top of a 6-figure income.
I explained to my wife, I'm like, y'all want Batman and Bruce Wayne at the same time, and you don't realize you already got them. You looking over here for Batman all the time. Well, I was Batman when you met me. Now if I take a shit while you in the shower, I become, all of a sudden the fantasies out. Please don't
do that. Fellas, don't do that. We hate it.
I done ruined everything,
Imagine if your wife did that while you were in the shower.
What happened?
I said, imagine if your wife did that while you were in the shower. You in the shower with your little axe.
I'm just saying, my point is it's hard. My point is once you get into a relationship, it's hard to remain that facade that you sold them at the beginning. Like you say, you selling them Prince Charming, you selling them Batman, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's revealed, no, I'm just a mortal man, and now your interest starts to wane. It's not as exciting.
I don't know if Batman and Bruce Wayne is a good analogy, because even if you're not Batman, it's still Bruce Wayne. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had a whole lot of money. It's more like Clark Kent.
The thing is,
they come home and you butt naked and just only got Timberlands on every now and then, so you got grip on the floor like every night. Just balance, people.
Now I gotta go.
Wait, what happened, Jen?
What happened, Jen? My point being, with the Batman Bruce Wayne is the guy, that movie. There's a show on Netflix, Sex Life. If you haven't seen it, it's great.
I hate that woman. Oh my god.
Yeah, so in that movie, her psychologist or therapist tells her the guy you get the security from can't be the same guy you get the thrill and excitement from. It just doesn't work that way, and I think, man, that's such a challenge for men, is because we start out is that Batman figure that's thrilling and exciting, and then we become Bruce Wayne because that's who you want the security from. That's what you tell us, you want the security, and now we find we're over there dancing with you, but you keep looking at the balcony, for Batman to show up. So it's like,
he's right. I mean,
I hated that woman in Sex Life. I wanted to.
That's why, guys, it's very good. I'm a proponent of being as emotionally unavailable as possible, gentlemen. Call it what it is, you know what I mean? But I am a proponent of that to a degree.
Her husband was hot too and so caring. I was like,
I know. It's like, man, you got to.
You saw how he was broken when he seen him in the showers. He was like,
that part.
I can't compete with all of that.
Wait a minute, explain this to me. I have to watch this. What happened?
He stopped.
We don't want to do no spoiler alert, but
okay. And what is it? It's on Netflix, you said?
It's on Netflix. Basically, it's about a marriage and a woman just not being satisfied, and it's
well, she's satisfied with her. She's satisfied in one realm of her. It's like the 80-20 rule. She got the 80 at the house and she's 80% satisfied, but then she still got that 20 that she's needing to be that whole 100. And with that said, I think with the whole E&M lifestyle, something I've been thinking about is, if you're going to delve into that world, you need for both of y'all to already be 100 with each other. And anything you do outside of that is going to be another 10% or another 20% or whatever, but you don't want to go into that world if you're 80-20, because that's when it becomes threatening that she's going to find or he's going to find that 20%. And now they start having an affair outside of agreement, So I think you already need to be 100 with your relationship, and then just add on to that. If I mean you guys that are involved in it can chime in if you agree with that.
That is funny. I was laughing at that.
Don Levon understands women, okay? Here's the answer. All you coolest men, here's the answer. We want Batman, Bruce Wayne, Forrest Gump, and John Wick, damn it.
John Wick. He killed the dog, baby. Go kill the entire
I don't know if I can do John Wick, man.
He forgot Mr. Marcus, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Steve, the real Jen comes out.
Oh, okay, Jen. I can.
You talking about Mr. Marcus? Mr. Marcus from Pornhub?
Yes, the very one.
Like he lives there from Pornhub.
You know what's funny? I got him in the drawer in the room.
I don't even.
He said I went and got a cast of.
Hey,
on the bottom, does it have the suction? So
it has one that you can add to it. You push it
in.
We
going in another direction right here.
When I walk into Eyes Wide Shut, I just lick my eyebrows because that's my bread and butter. That's my bread and butter. Otherwise, I got to open the drawer.
The visual.
Oh my God.
Okay, but we got to try this on for size, right? So, as simple as it should be, the issue is the difference in commitment. And I think what's your name next to me?
Mark.
Mark was just
or
saying.
Dave, whichever. He was calling me Dave earlier. I guess it's a white.
You look like a Dave.
It's a white name. We'll go with it.
I would have said a Trent. You look more like a Trent.
All right, yeah. I don't think Trent's biblical, but I'm going to stay biblical. Just think of one of the apostles.
Yeah. So I think what we're missing and what simplifies all of this is someone who matches your dedication and commitment. This idea that a relationship should be work. I get that in a certain aspect, but in general, I want you loving me to be effortless. I don't want you to have to try to love me. I don't want you to have to try to be nice to me. I don't want you to have to try to be a good person to me. If you feel like it's draining to be an asset in my life, that's going to hit the ceiling at some point in time. You're not going to be able to maintain that type of facade. And something that we have to keep in mind, like a lot of the times I feel like I'm just an observer of the world. I'm not really here with y'all because I'm not really emotionally attached to a lot of things. Like I'm kind of existential in that sense. And so like just being an onlooker to the world, I feel like we put too much effort and energy into things that we don't necessarily care about, right? Like for you to care about something, like we're making fun of the Venom thing and the Maleficent thing. Like these are things that you tell yourself you like, and you practice this and you rehearse it. It's something that intrigues you, so you keep up with it, right? The same thing goes for relationships. We tell ourselves this is something that we want, something that we have an interest in, and voila, we're entrenched in it. Something that sent me down a rabbit hole one day, I considered the question, who invented marriage, right? And once you look this up, like one day when y'all have time, just Google the invention of marriage and watch a couple videos on it. It's like a lot of explosions start going off in your mind that this is just a construct. This is just an idea that somebody had one day, and somehow it took the world by storm, and everybody was like, I can do that too. But it had an actual purpose.
Well, even the idea of romantic marriage is relatively new. It used, I'm sure you already know, it used to have to do with property and joining families, and women didn't even have a lot of say in the ordeal. They just kind of showed up. So,
Like you had land and power and riches, and she over there had a territory she was the queen of, and you were like, hey, if we come together, now we have even more
power
wealth.
and
So
riches.
now you have these two poverty-stricken people who don't have a bowl in their house between the two of them, and they're like, let's get married, let's jump the broom, right? And I think something that the Black community got sold on is that since we can't have everything that our oppressors have, well, they can't stop us from love. They can't stop us from marriage. So this causes you to pedestalize something that's not even really valuable in your life. You're jumping the broom for the sake of fuck them. You're not jumping the broom because this is going to better us or make us greater or even be synergistic. So the invention of marriage, dive into it one day.
I want to read this before we wrap. Mo has a great point. She says, the truth is we all need to be humble in a relationship. You're not as good as you think you are, and your partner isn't as bad as you think they are. Relationships have to be maintained. I agree with that 110%. That is very, very true in any situation.
And actively pursue your significant others.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was going to say, what do you guys as poly, what advice would you give to people in monogamous relationships? Who wants to remain monogamous? Do you have any tips?
Active dating. Like one thing the women in my life will always be able to tell any other guy is, I'm gonna keep it fresh. I'm gonna take them out to places they've never been before. And I try to do this like almost every date. So that's why I love being in a city that's big as Houston. I'm gonna keep wowing you with the different restaurants. We're gonna look good when we're doing it. I like to get active. I'll tell you to get dressed and pull up to a empty grass field and whip out a blanket and some wine, and I got the tablet so we can watch some TV. Like, I'm going to actively date you the entire time that we're together. And that's something that the next guy is going to have to figure out how to compete with me at. He's probably going to need more money than me and a bigger package. If without those two things, you can't mess with me.
Yes. Miss Polly, what do you have for these monogamous, boring people?
Oh, geez. That's bad. No, I think they just need to, like you were saying, like kind of keep that energy, keep learning. Like you said, like most relationships, after you hit the pinnacle of everything is basically when you get married, and then you just be like, okay, well, what do? We just be, after we have our kids, we just sit here and look at each other. Like there's nothing else. Keep learning, keep building on yourself. It's so important, because as I learn and I grow, I come back and share that with you, and we can, have these different experiences. So yeah, being able to keep that learning factor into your life, and be a person who's like, I don't want to say entertaining, because not everybody is the best entertainer, but just be able to, keep being active with your partner. Like you were saying, it is really important, because all the rest of the stuff we're doing, we could just all be friends and high five each other if that's the case, But you're special to me. Why wouldn't I want to share things with you and enjoy your time? That's what it's about. So really, pick that up. Don't let it die. I'll tell you one thing of really good when you're monogamous is spending time apart. Realizing what you're missing. Realize what you want in your life. And if you can leave someone or spend time without them a lot, and you really don't care, you probably shouldn't be with them. That's not someone you want to spend time with and enjoy life with. It's just someone that you had a time with and it's over. So those are things you should think about. Yeah.
Totally agree. Don't get boring. Don't be boring. And like you said, it's a good point. You don't have to be, showbiz and showtime all the time, but go out, get a new book, go find a new restaurant. There are things that even boring people can do to make themselves interesting. Okay. Get a new shirt. Try the color blue for a change. Anything. And
stop cooking that man all that damn spaghetti. Learn a new
right. What the hell?
I make some damn good spaghetti. Not all the time.
I can't stand. Don't bring me spaghetti more than once a year. You got one time this year to bring me spaghetti. and I'm out.
Just reminded me it's time to make spaghetti.
One
Mark,
thing,
what say you? Are you going for, after this was a lot? We learned a lot tonight. Okay, whether you,
hey, it ain't all up to me, so I'm just half of the brain.
okay. So are you gonna
but,
push, or are you just gonna ride?
I'm not gonna push. I mean, we're still doing our thing, and you know, learning. And I was gonna piggyback off something, just kind of the same vein Miss Polly was talking about. One thing I would tell monogamous couples is don't be afraid to explore and venture out, because one thing that's really worked for us, I think, is the fact that using jealousy, that energy kind of reignites the passion for each other. You know what I mean? So when you go out there and, like, you know, we go out and she sees women hovering around me and like ready to like, hey, y'all want to go next door and stuff like that. And she's like, whoa, you know, like, hey, seeing these hot women want her man reignites her. Like, hey, you know, like, I really do got something, you know.
I got something to hold on to.
Yeah, like, man, if I let this, if I slip up, he could have another one tomorrow night, you know. So that kind of reignites a fire, and vice versa, you know. Which I already know. I mean, she's a woman; she could replace me at the gas station down the road. But
I got a lot of respect for them gas station guys. They have the precious game in the world.
Right.
If you want your girlfriend to know she's bored with you, let her go to the gas station, especially in the hood. They finna wow her out of her pants. Like,
that's a
you're
wrap.
the sun, you're the moon, you're the stars, Miss Lady. Let me pump your gas. Let me hold the door for you.
Hey,
you in the car looking like,
sometimes I just hang out there to learn game. And I go down the road and spit the same line. But no, but
like, who's around?
But you know, you don't have, as a monogamous couple, you don't have to do anything physical, but you can toy with the idea, and you can feed off that jealous energy to just kind of let each other know, like, hey, you know, I don't know, it's just something that makes you feel more attracted to the other person once you feel that jealousy hit, you know, because maybe you ain't felt that in a minute, you know.
And don't misdirect the energy of jealousy. Sometimes people are jealous in a bad way, where they get mad at their spouse, right? I think you can flip it in a very sexy way and be like, yeah, I saw them looking at you, or I saw her looking at you, and flip it into something sexy than, you know, coming home mad because, oh, that girl, flip it into something sexy, especially if you say you love that person and want that person to be happy, and vice versa. Like, there's always an alternative, you know, way to deal with some stuff.
Perspective is everything. It's important. Our society doesn't practice the benefit and value of positive thinking. Like, it always bothers me that something can happen and we all take it one way. A disagreement happens and this means that we can fight and argue now. Why can't that turn into loving sex? You know, like this, there's perspective and maturity is so valuable and it's overlooked all the time. My grandfather was a pastor, rest his soul. He passed away 2 years ago in January. And guys would flirt with my grandmother in church, and I'd be like, Grandpa, you see him? And he's like, yeah, boy, I know my woman beautiful. You know, like, this was a positive thing to him. You know, and one time he told me, he said, I don't think I would want her if nobody else wanted her. Like, this is kind of how it works. You know, you got something good. That's why you got it, you know, and that's why you want to keep it. And my grandmother, likewise, she loved being a wife. He got his plate first. She was there to rub his back and help him with his sermons. Anything that he needed his counterpart to do, she did. And they didn't even have kids together. He had like 8 kids by his first wife, and my grandmother helped him raise all of them. And she never made any of them feel any type of way. Likewise, he never treated us different because we're not his actual grandkids. You know, I didn't grow up with my biological grandfather. And so it's extremely important to know how to channel your emotions in the right direction. And when people learn that I'm polyamorous, they say stuff like, "Oh, so you don't get jealous?" Well, of course I get jealous, but I handle it in a mature way. This doesn't mean go sock her in the cheek because I'm jealous. You know, maybe I need to appreciate her more. Like, this is a sign. These are signals. So use it for something valuable.
Yeah. And on that note, beautiful lady, distinguished gentleman, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this time with me and for your honesty, okay? And for your patience. Chat, you know, I love you. Let's do this again. I'll be back tomorrow. I got something for you tomorrow that's going to be interesting as well. And Friday too, I believe. So please hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Appreciate these people. Please follow their pages. Please leave your, everybody on the panel, leave your in my comments, leave your pages so people know where to follow you. And let's do this again. I'll just leave on the note, no matter what you go into, ethical non-monogamy or monogamy, make sure that you are complete and happy and you're not stepping into anything as a cure or to self-medicate or for someone to complete. You make sure you are happy and whole no matter what you choose before you bring other people into your mess, okay? Let's stop coupling with people and getting with people so they could carry our baggage, help us carry our baggage. So with that said, thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you, Miss Polly. I hope to see you again on the panel. And I will say good night to everybody. See y'all next time.
Pleasure meeting y'all. Have a great one.
Nice meeting you guys. Bye.
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 Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
All right, guys, was that not nut? You know, I always got something cooking over here, okay? So always something cooking over here. So thank you for joining me again. Hit that like and subscribe. Like I said, meet me at the comments, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Make sure you always check my community page to see what the subject's going to be. Leave me a comment there as well. You already know what helps the algorithm. I don't have to tell you. All right, guys. So good night. Have an amazing rest of your evening. Y te veo mañana. Bye, guys. And I'm out.